On today's episode of Let's Talk FGO, 30 million downloads, banners for days.
Servants for years.
Literally, years worth of servants. And also a conspicuous Lost Belt number 5 clear campaign in JP. Funny, innit? But all of that and more, ending on, well, not ending on, but the Let's Talk FGO part will end on, a pregame for our upcoming Halloween event, Halloween Rebellion of 108, a Dragon Girls Water Margin. Which is not, formally announced, but they're gonna have a video later, so we know roughly when it will occur. So perfect timing, chat. Hello, hi. We are your hosts. This voice is Omega, the other voice is Lucky, in case you were confused. And today, we are fighting our inner demons.
I'm gonna pause that real quick.
Okay. Anyway, case in point, chat. I did cut out some good Foley there, but...
I am sorry about that. I hope everyone is enjoying Fate Grand Order, a.k.a. 30 million... down. And while we here at Studio Mega like to bring you the latest in FGO-related news and memes, we will be talking about current and future events for both the JP and EA version of the game. So anyone not wanting to spoil it is not sweet-cutting about it.
Yes. And as usual, while there is some loosey-goosey room, and also, honestly, I mean, knock on wood, don't know how dense the story is going to be for this upcoming event. I'll explain why later, but it's got a very straightforward number of main quests. But there will probably be some sort of spoilers for some stuff if you're listening to this, so, if you want to go in completely blind, you can tune out of those parts. But that comes later. First, I would like to thank our patrons who make this possible, such as Adam DeHart, Blacklist Doji, Call Me Zed, Carlos, Dragon, JW9000, Justify, Kaiser, Starlight, Legendary Boss Hunter, Liam Kessler, Rise of Kenji, Rogue, Robin, Sharvor, Some Guy Named Bob, and Baron the Crow, and many more. Thank you for your support as always.
And everyone out there on our Discord and YouTube, thank you as well. We would not be here without you.
Yes. Thanks for listening, everybody. And for dealing with us when stuff happens. I mean, I say for putting up with us. The show's being recorded a day late because I felt like crap yesterday. Super flattened for several hours by, I'm pretty sure, allergies. I don't know how accurate that, headache chart is where it's here's what kind of headache you have based on where the pain is. But the one that shows that cross-section behind your nose... and it says sinus headache, I'm like, no, that's how I feel, so that one feels right anyway. Yeah, so we had to delay the show a little, and we're, running it back to set up. We're going to record it and spin it out as fast as I possibly can. And I'm still a little sleepy today, so put up with me if I suddenly get soft, but I can summon some level of enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Anyway, it is now time to check in with everybody's favorite Kohai, Mash.
Woo!
Senpai! 起きてください!
Because it is time for Wake Up the Fuck Up Senpai, a regular segment for pro tips. Sorry, I was slightly distracted there by being close enough that the tip of my nose touches my pop filter, but then not being so energetic as to strike my pop filter with my nose. It's a very dangerous game we play here at Studio Omega. Anyway, this week's pro tip is very straightforward. It's October now, we know what October's items are, but there's 5 of them now, so you may have to scroll a little bit. But your items are going to be silver crowns, octuple crystals, horseshoes, stakes, and chains. All good selections. We're still in, I don't want to say stall mode, but we're spacing out things. So no new records, no new evils. We're just chilling. We're doing stuff. Being reminded of how rad LB5 was.
It's so rad.
It is pretty cool. Though I am, as a slight aside, because technically that stuff's all come out, so we've already talked about it in Skelligrams, but I'm very glad that we did not have a Demeter fight in Recollection Quests. I'm a little sad that we didn't get Zeus. That one was very fun. It's a very funny little fight. But, yes, that means we move swiftly on down the list of topics. The topic list I have here right in my hand. No, I don't. It's a Google Doc sheet, but I can flap my notepad and make you think I've got it in my hand. But that means we're skipping straight to Did You Finish Your Master Missions? The Master Missions for this week are perform 30 FP summons, defeat 3 Saber or Assassin servants, then 3 Archer Caster servants, 3 Lancer Rider Berserker servants, and then 20, and then 40, those are 2 separate missions, enemies, which doesn't include servants or certain story bosses. I usually write this in my notes as not servants or bosses. I'm pretty sure they specify certain story bosses because sometimes there are story-only bosses who are technically servants. Because being a servant is a trait, The final Canis fight would have been interesting, but I also think the Kishtaria Canis fight has big reps as well. And if you're wondering where some of these aside comments do come from, we are, as usual, I make sure to thank our patrons, but we are broadcasting live to our Patreon box as well every time we record on our Discord.
Yeah.
So if you ever hear me give an aside to chat, it's them. It's the patrons in the patron chat.
It's there.
Anyway, Skelegrams! It's finally spooky month, but I've learned my lesson about actually playing clips from spooky, scary skeletons. Sadly, that hasn't been good in like many years because YouTube will catch my ass. Shit sucks,
We'll just
man.
make Skeletor noises at you.
Good luck,
Joke's
I'm
on-
behind 1,000 skeletons.
Joke's on you, I'm into that shit.
Or another personal favorite. That's it, I'm out. Walks through mirror, punches mirror. Skeletor memes, you'll never get old. Also,
What?
Yes, what? Now I'm thinking of the XP to level 3 skit as well. A Minecraft piston pushes you and you fall 1,000 meters into a pit, onto a pillow, and you find 1,000 liches. They all turn to you and cast Power Word Kill. And then the guy is like, why would you do... dies in real life. It's great. It's great. You should check out XP to level 3 stuff. He's pretty good. Okay, anyway, Skelegrams. Mostly JP news, but literally only possible because we are actually recording a day late. There is a little bit Ian at the end officially. But first, JP launched Lost Belt number 5 clear support campaign, going from the 1st of October to the 31st of October. Both parts of LB5 are 0 AP for the duration. They have limited time master missions to do stuff. They have returned the recollection quests, though this time instead of tickets and tea kettles, it is apples, gold apples, and mana prisms. So changing up your rewards very slightly. We got a couple of rank ups, one of which was also very new. It's very funny because the first one was Hector, and then some people were like, "Oh, Sag, no rank up for Europa." Nope, that happened. They just waited till the second phase. And for Hector, that's an upgrade to his disengage. This is actually pretty interesting because they basically turned his disengage into charisma. Literally, it's called the Charisma of Defense now. So it gives him the 3-turn attack up for the squad, 10 to 20%, and also just gives him a flat 20% NP gauge. And then Europa's charm skill, the White Bull, got upgraded. So that's still 60% to charm all enemies for 1 turn, along with its, reducing critical and defense. But now it also gives your party 20 to 30% damage up versus Earth attribute enemies and enemies who are charmed. So giving you some interesting cohesion there. Also, they reduced its cooldown globally by 1 turn, which is probably pretty good because it was like 9 turn, starting cooldown for a 60% chance to charm. Basically, it was a little too punishing considering that there are so many bosses and enemies who are just like lol no stun, literally immune to mental debuffs. So yes, a good add, a good buff there. And there's a rank up schedule that goes with this, which is very similar to the collection of banners we just got in NA. There's Super Orion, there's Odysseus, there's Europa, there's Dioscuri, there's Romulus Quintus. I did think they changed up the paired rate ups a little, like Canis is only, I think, on Europa in JP right now, but yeah, there's a big puckle bushel of stuff. And they're also combining both the special 4-star CE rate ups as well. But still, it's, fully Lost Belt 5 themed. This is another case where I'm pretty sure that they, thought of this exactly because they just coded this stuff for English and were like, well, we could run that again. We haven't had banners on some of these guys. Speaking of having banners, though, 30 million downloads. It's a big number. They've said it's coming for a while, but they finally got there. Also, some of this information is kind of was a little loosey-goosey when I wrote it, so bear with me if it's not 100% clarified. The stream literally just happened, a couple nights ago, and it took them a while to get all the information down. But log in for lots of stuff. The usual, oodles and boodles of rewards. There's also a renewed start dash and a returning master campaign. I believe we're getting +3 friend slots permanent. Should now be 40 total.
Yes.
Which is a very nice modifier. We also got a bunch of updates to the MP shop and RP shops. Lots of classics being added, including some Mystic codes like Anniversary of Blonde and High School are added in, and now they're free if you've cleared them. Lots of limited time craft distances and command codes are being added. Also, apparently, they're making 30 teapots available every month in the Mana Prism shop, so teapots are just part of the MP shop bit now.
I really want that one early. I really do. I really do.
Let's hope they get this. Also, our next one, these weren't a release at the time, but some Summer Boys costumes are added to dressmaking. But also got a couple of improvements to Pure Prisms. First of all, they doubled the amount of Pure Prisms you get for main quest rewards, retroactive mailbag for this.
Yeah.
And also, they have a new item called Pure Prism Inventory Reset Tickets. So there are limited time master missions to get these tickets, but when you get these tickets, you can spend them after the campaign is done. And I assume this just resets the amount of mats you can buy in the Pure Prism shop. So that's pretty good. And means that they can basically, whenever they have a similar kind of like time-based event, they can give these out as part of like, recollection quest rewards or limited time master missions for a campaign or something to give you a chance to refreshify your inventory.
It is important to refreshify.
Yeah, because Pure Prisms are really good, but they are the kind of thing where previously, we've had to think about budgeting them a little because there's only so many main story chapters that come out in a year, and once you've spent them, it's hard to get those mats back. So now they're, addressing that a little. They're going to double the amount you get, and they're going to give you a way to recycle your inventory, which is good. We got an Oberon banner with some new CEs. There's also a special Oberon command code as well. Not super shocking considering how turbo popular Oberon is. I believe he pretty recently got a Nendroid, which you should, if you acquire, you should immediately put into a jar and possibly float upon the ocean. He deserves it. But yeah, he's a little marketable guy now. So naturally, it kind of makes sense he'd be the face of this. But he's not the only raid-up, because holy shit, there are a lot of raid-ups.
Yes,
I'm not going to try and enumerate them all, but basically what they're going to do is that for 30 million downloads, we are rerunning every single download campaign banner. Every person who has showed up on a download campaign gets a rerun, starting at Gilgamesh and going forward. So obviously that means no servants that are going to be new, but they were new at the time, so like, goddamn, it's a lot of them. Holy shit, it's a lot of them. So yeah, for 30 million, this is a pretty good, like, deep callback. And also gives them an opportunity to scratch a lot of servants off their rerun list. I have noted several times this year while recording FGO Wanteds that it seems like JP has usually been pretty consistent about trying to keep up, one limited servant rerun a year minimum. And they've been real good about it for like this period, so this definitely lets them scratch out a lot of stuff. But we rounded out once more with another free SSR ticket. You have to have cleared like the first chapter of Orleans to get this, by the way. And then you have to do the whole thing where you acquire it, you gotta exchange it. You have until November 30th to get them to Bond 5 and level 60 minimum. So not even max ascension, just gotta put some level of it. But during the campaign, your picked servants will get bonus damage and triple XP. So they're making it really easy, but you can't just take your freebies. And this will once again include permanent and story-locked servants, and they are increasing how deep down it goes to, I believe, the most recent servant on this list is Nito Alter.
Yes.
Who is a permanent Avenger, but is, like, it was start of this year? Start of last year?
Start of last year, yes.
Yeah. So, like...
we're on our third ordeal call right now.
Yeah. So, like, not the most recent, but still catching up a couple of years and adding a lot of people who were not before. And like I said, also including story-locked to this, which is not how every download campaign SSR ticket has done. So, got some of that good shit.
The good shit.
Like, I'm already looking at this assembly and being like, yeah, no, this is pretty cool. Depending on how things go with permanence, I could see scratching off a few people off this list. Is Kashin Kojin the latest? Probably she would be, because that was late last year for
I do remember Kashin Kojin. I don't remember when Kashin Kojin came out though.
Was that
that was after Nito Alter. I do remember that. So
no, that wasn't.
But for some reason, Nito Alter was the one that stuck out in my brain.
Oh yeah, sieging Ilia's castle. That's right.
Oh, that's right.
Okay, yes, that was in there. Interesting. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so that's the latest one. And I can't remember if she's permanent or story lock, but yeah, it's like I said, it's not fully caught up. It's not like including brand new servants this year, but we've added several of them to the list. So there's some, good opportunities to get in there and pick some new servants. It is funny that like a lot of people have been talking about what to do with the ticket. As usual, it's like grabbing, first time or even extra NP levels on a lot of your classic support casters, because those are kind of evergreen. But, you can truly pick whatever you want. Honestly, especially with rank ups and stuff and interludes, I don't think there's any bad pulls on a backlog of permanent and story-locked servants. As usual, I would advise you to prioritize story-locked over permanent, because just...
the gotchas will sometime giveth.
Yeah. Hypothetically, you can roll, Ritra anytime. After she came out, she could be rolled at any time, whereas unless you're rolling on Story Banner specifically or a specific raid up, you will never say roll Old Man Lee, or I forgot what Sitonai, that's right, I was trying to think what the Ilya face was. Yeah, Sitonai. You will never roll her if you're not rolling Story Banner or a specific raid up, so keep that in mind. But yeah, good to see the ticket. Happy, good times, clocking some stuff. And yeah. I do believe they alluded to some sort of Halloween-type event coming later. No details yet, but we're projecting. And speaking of Halloween, like I said before, we did get a little bit of EN news on this today, which is they announced via the Twitter and stuff, Caldea Broadcasting U.S. Branch Light number 10, with the video for this releasing on 10/10, the 10th of October. And they did clarify it will be about details and timing for Howling Rebellion of 108, a Dragon Girl's Water Margin. Which obviously they already, during our anniversary block and stuff, they already did roadmap that out, but it is nice that they can just be like, oh yeah, we told you this already, it's this one. And this will probably give us 10 Saint Courts. I believe there was a pre-release for good old this Halloween Rebellion, I guess is what the shorthand is. So there should be some Saint Courtsies there. Yes, Fairy Cup is, did they say early November? It's definitely in November. I don't remember if they actually phrased it as early November. It might technically be late November or mid-November. They would probably want to leave late open for Thanksgiving big block stuff if they can. But, yeah, that is all of our delicious newsies.
Delicious newsies. Mm.
Which means we will move into mailbag right after I take a second. We're back. Let me closing my tabs. Yes, once again. Sorry, stretching my bones. They're important. That is the end of our Skeleton Grams. If you want to know more about Halloween Rebellion, stay tuned.
We'll be there right after these comments. And with that, let us move on over to this week's Let's Talk FGO mailbag. I'm not actually sorry I said Let's Talk FGO. I kind of mumbled together, but we're just gonna keep moving on. The segment where we read what you have to say and comment accordingly. This week we have 6 level command. Every time I make that, I'm always thinking about the Final Fantasy 14 treasure dungeon roulette, spinny thing. Just every time.
Sparkles.
But let us get right on into it. And our first one comes from Monster Girl Aficionado, who says, Dear Lucky and Omega, with the anime adaptation of The Barbarian's Bride announced, I was wondering, what are some manga and or light novels that you wish can get adaptation? Sending good vibes, wah 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 wah, and wishing you well. Keep up the great work. For those who do not know, pretty good manga, Barbarian's Bride, just received an anime adaptation, and it is a very good manga. I actually have read this one. It is about a lady knight who gets captured by a barbarian clan and is basically to wed their chief, and she thinks she's in for a life of, barbarian savageness but instead she learns that not everything is as it seems, and she starts to learning about a new way of life and starts to question her old life. It's very good, quite funny, very thought-provoking. I do hardly recommend it. I'm not sure if anyone's actually translating it right now, though, unfortunately. It's been a while since I've seen it pop up in my updates. But I might just go rewatch it. Reread it, excuse me, anyway. So, I do hardly recommend it.
Got an anime coming.
But I got an anime coming. As for things that I want to adapt, actually, I took a quick look at all the light novels I have, and most of them have anime adaptation. Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime, anime adaptation. Saga of Tawny Evil, anime adaptation. Trapped in an Ultimate Game, anime adaptation. World's Strongest Assassinated, reincarnated as an assassin, anime adaptation. Spirit Chronicles, anime adaptation. Monster Girl Doctor, anime adaptation. Failure Frame just got an anime adaptation. Goblin Slayer anime adaptation. How the Realist Hero Rebuilt the Kingdom anime adaptation. I guess I'm like looking at the two that's on my list. I guess I'm the Evil Overlord of an Intergalactic Empire would be one. That one tickles me fancy. It's funny. And another one, actually, I think that is probably actually a very strong consider, and I'm actually really, really wondering why it hasn't gotten an anime adaptation yet, is Reborn as a Space Mercenary. I woke up piloting the strongest starship. That one's actually really good. I have like 9 volumes of that. And the freaking light novel, or web novel, I'm not entirely sure. It's still going strong. Like, it's still going. So I'm kind of surprised we haven't seen that. So that one, definitely, I think I would like to see as an anime adaptation. For manga, I read so many manga, I probably could not. No, actually, no. I know the exact one that I freaking want. The guy she liked wasn't a guy at all. You know, the lime green manga. If you know, you know.
Let's see. It's been a long time since I've kept up with any actual manga. I should probably find some time to get back into reading. But my comments are actually are funny because technically, both the series I'm about to name do have anime, but they were I won't say one season because I think they both got like 50 episodes, but they were long runners that are in there. It's Air Gear and History's Strongest Disciple Kenichi, which are 2 manga I very much like. They did get adaptations early, but they were way before the manga actually ended, and so they don't get into like half of the crazy shit that happens at the back ends of both of those manga series. And I love both those manga a lot, and I'm just like, man, I'd love to see some of the stuff.
I'm not particularly strong feeling on Kenichi, but I do think Air Gear needs the fucking Brotherhood treatment.
Yeah, especially because like I would love to see animators, especially in like a lot of the way studios do stuff now, where they kind of like block out their time and like, you know, work on it like, you know, one core to go. Animate some of those. I don't want to call them fights because some of them were fights, but some of them were not fights. But just like the actual Air Gear action could get really crazy in the manga.
Damn you, O grade, and your fucking meticulous love of boobs and mechanical parts.
Yeah, no, really good. And yeah, and like I said, Kenichi was like, I don't know, I really like martial arts stuff, and I think Kenichi had some real good, you know, characters and messaging in there as well. But like I said, it wrapped up after like I think like 50 episodes, and it's just like, yeah, there was a lot of crazier shit even further in. But yeah, like I don't want to like, you know, say that we, you know, we only. It's like the same question of like video game remakes. If like, no, we need, you know, new adaptations and original IP as well. But also, hey, you could like remake some in-depth, like it's crazy to think that like at one point, yes, it was just like expected if you shipped, you know, over so many chapters, you'd get an option for an anime adaptation, but also your anime adaptation could be shitty or could be good like the original FMA anime, but just wouldn't get to like half your fucking storyline because, you know, this shit was being written, you know, in a Full Metal was a monthly manga as well, so like you're writing, you know, one of these a month, and you know, the chapter can't get it there. And I will say this about FMA because I've been seeing a decent number of people because it was recently
October 4th. Never forget.
3rd. Yes, never forget.
Oh, 3rd. I was.
But I do think that like both of the anime are complementary because like Brotherhood by definition skips a shitload of the early setup stuff.
Yes.
Because that stuff was very detailedly animated in the original anime, and so they wanted to move over that to cover stuff that was either new or was like taking a more accurate angle to the manga. And like, no, some of those arcs and stuff aren't necessary, but they're still really good, and a lot of them are like true. It's just that they glaze over them. So like, ideally, you should watch both.
No, I do remember, like, I always found it about, like, because in the original, you actually met the corrupt, what was it, coal mine owner?
Yeah.
The official?
And he shows up. Train segment.
Yeah, and he shows up in Brotherhood, but you don't actually necessarily know how he got there and how the Elric brothers actually, you know, ousted him.
Yeah, they just do a little, like, montage. But yeah, no, so, like, both of those are really good, and so I would love more of this treatment for some animes, but, you know, you do need the new content when it be hitting.
Oh. Like, I think there's, like, plenty of manga that I think deserves, like, an anime or whatnot, but, like, I think the list is just too there's just like too many to think of. I really do. There's a lot of manga out there. I read like a lot of manga. There's like manga has like really blown up. It's like it doesn't even necessarily need to be serialized anymore. A lot of artists just do like Twitter mangas. They just post pages on Twitter and just do it like, daily or weekly and whatnot, and people just, follow along then. So you can start seeing like a lot of good stuff, even though you might not be going through, one of the traditional publishers.
And I am kind of glad for that, because this is a thing that happens a lot, but weekly Shonen Jump type publication is like grueling. Like if you're gonna lock in for that, you need to be committed, and hope that you get big enough that you can occasionally take some health breaks, to take some time off, because it works out fast. And like honestly, I've been thinking about this. This should possibly be a drinking game cue, but I recently needed some time to kill to listen to some stuff, so I went back and listened to all of Save Data Team's Save Databayo series, which is they do a podcast reviewing arcs of Naruto. But like, it's so funny to me to think of like, there are so many just straight up retcons in Naruto you don't think about, because they all happen in like the first like 50-ish episodes, which is fucking nothing, especially if you account for all the filler in Naruto's arc time. But it really says to me that like, yeah, no, of course there were retcons, because like Kishimoto got picked up immediately and had like 3 chapters ahead when he started, to catch up on. That means he can't take any time to stop and think about where the fuck the plot is going, There's not a lot of pre-planning. You're just kind of like it's very funny to me that like, strictly speaking, when Naruto started, Kishimoto had no idea who Sasuke was seeking revenge on. Itachi didn't exist as a character yet.
Really?
Yeah, and like there were only just vague shadows and silhouettes in the manga chapters. Obviously, like when the anime got there, he had like gotten far enough ahead that they could like figure some shit out. But yeah, no, so like that's stuff that he just kind of like shaped. Another thing that's always so funny to me to think about in retrospect is like the first like I want to say like 10 or so episodes of Naruto try to go like super hardcore on like Naruto was literally alone. Everyone hated him. No one hung out and played with him. You get like 50 episodes in, and Shikamaru and Choji are just like, man, why did we stop hanging out with that Naruto guy? He's great. He's the coolest. Weren't you and your parents supposed to like hate his guts? I don't know, man. So yeah, like I'm glad that like an alternative to traditional publishing is staying out there, because like it's not for everyone. This is probably why a lot of Shonen Jump mangas have like I don't want to say bad endings, but seem like we're getting a lot of fairly abrupt endings these days. It's probably because the authors are like, they have very successful series and they're kind of running out of gas, and they're like, I could just finish it and coast. Like, I don't know if we're gonna get another big 3 scale manga after like One Piece, because I don't know if the industry's got room for more One Pieces in them,
No, even the big titles nowadays usually only go like a core or 2 and then take like a year break. Yeah. Like
My Hero is a perfect example of that. They like string enough for a couple of cores together to make a season, and then are like, nah, I'm good. We'll wait a year.
Yeah, but that's well, I guess if we're talking manga, yeah, Hajime no Ippo, 35 years ongoing, fucking crazy. That man can only box so much, but here we are.
Hajime no Ippo is also so funny because like they've done some anime adaptations, they've done fucking reimaginings. It's just it's funny to me. Oh, though, speaking of manga, complete aside, in the middle of the mailbag, it's was very recently announced that Part 7 of JoJo Steel Ball Run is officially being licensed by Viz, so it is finally going to be properly translatified and released in the West.
That probably means the anime adaptation is probably a couple years away.
Yeah, I'm still going to say probably a couple of years. David Production has said before that Part 7 is going to be real hard because there's a lot of horses in it. There's a lot of horse racing in Part 7, and that's very difficult for the animators. That means
we have to improve our horse technology.
Yeah, that means either a lot of very like frame-intense, life study drawing animation, or they have to do some CGI rigging, which is always like, you got to be careful. Like, even if you have good CG rigging, your models will still look a little out of place compared to your 2D renders, your flats. So, like, you got to be careful about that shit, because it can look bad. And obviously, David Production doesn't want JoJo to look bad, because generally they try to avoid that shit. There were some off models in like Part 4 and 5. I guess Netflix gave them big money because I don't think there was a lot of off-model issues with Part 6. But Stone Ocean being made is like in part through Netflix funding had its own problems, which was just they released it in several blocks, which was not great. Netflix does actually do weeklies though. They did Delicious in Dungeon that way. Might be I gotta catch up on that shit. Season's been over forever, but I haven't been in a TV watching mood. But yes, there you go. There's some talks about some anime and some manga.
Some
and
animes. So let's move on. This next one comes by Bewildered by Nostalgia, Fighting Hindsight. Oh, that's a name. They say, Dear Lucky and Omega, weird question time. Have you ever encountered a piece of media that you're really invested into and was canceled early into its run, but gives you the feeling that if it kept going, you would have lost interest in it? This is a very specific question. They go on to say, though, I recently got the bug to read through an old manga favorite from my youth, Double Arts, a late 2000s shonens that Naoshi Komi wrote before Nisekoi. It was very short-lived. Someone posted the minor spelling mistake. And I believe that it had a lot of ideas with promise, but I cannot shake the feeling that if it kept going, it would have lost my interest by falling into traps and trends at the time. Anyway, hope you guys stay healthy as the seasons turn. Yeah, we're a couple weeks into fall here. Things are slowly starting to cool down, but it's still pretty wild.
Yeah, I don't got that slowly starting to cool down shit. It's 79 degrees outside at 8 o'clock at night. Sucks.
And unfortunately, I do want to say I think I understand this question and I can kind of get through it, but I cannot think of any specific examples. Like I said, I read a lot of manga, and sometimes that manga just fucking disappears. And I'm just like, so many times I'll be on Manga Dex, I'll hit my updates, and I'll see like just today I found like someone has started working on 2 mangas that I totally forgot about. And I'm just like, oh yeah, these were things, and they just came back.
There's a podcast that was referenced by Dr. Style, the JoJo podcast. They got a guest on one who does something called Shonen Flop, which is just like literally like manga that were canceled out of Shonen Jump. And I always think to myself, I'm gonna mean to go back and check this out because like that's a really interesting idea, right? Like we hear about big titles that make it, but naturally by the virtue of the system, there are gonna be people who go like 8 chapters and they're like, nah, this shit sucks, I'm done, I'm out.
Oh god, that makes me think of like MXO, one of the really series that I really liked. It was a shonen manga about a kid who got into a magic school without having any magic, so they basically cheated and gave him an ability to like copy other people's magic, and he had to like basically bullshit his way through life at school. I was very upset about that. But unfortunately I think with manga in general, this is why I tell people like the best stories are the ones that end. Because eventually, if a story goes on long enough, it will just start always inevitably fall into the traps and tropes of the time and kind of lose its steam. It's one of the reasons why I necessarily don't want to get into One Piece, because it's very super long. B, the fandom is loud,
slightly unhinged,
and C, I don't actually see that manga going anywhere. I feel like it's just in a stagnation loop of just going in circles.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I get the vibe because people are still fans of it that like Kishimoto clearly not Kishimoto, I forgot, that's Narcissus, Oda. He clearly has new ideas, right? Like he's doing new stuff and has new characters. Also, don't you say we're in the final saga. He's going to be writing this manga for 2 more fucking years.
Yeah, like didn't he say One Piece would end like in 2 years, like 2 years ago?
Listen, I won't say he's like George R.R. Martin because he actually comes up with something new every week. Boom, got him. But like I don't trust him to say when One Piece is actually ending. But like I said, it's clear that he's still got new stuff to bring. But yeah, I don't actually know like what we're doing for all these stuff. God, sorry. Somebody in our Patreon chat just said, as someone who reads it, we're definitely in the end game, but that's probably going to take 5 to 7 years. And I'm just like, that's the most One Piece thing I've ever read. Yeah. Like, I'll probably catch up on One Piece, like, when it's done. Like, then I'll be like, okay, I know for sure it's over, and I can just, I won't say breeze through it, but we can just move through it. Assuming that, like, it has an ending that's good. I mean, like, to do a comparison, it could be like the Game of Thrones TV series, which was fucking great for like 6 seasons. But like it's one of those things where it's just like it's super long, and I guess if we're still like if he's still doing cool fights and stuff and cool powers, that's cool. But cool. I do wonder about like the narrative arc. There are times when it does sound like those guys just get fucking set back for like 50 episodes, and I'm just like, what? Huh? Anyway, feel free in the comments to talk about One Piece. There's literally thousands of episodes, let alone of chapters. I'm not getting into it yet, so don't try that shit. But like, yeah, it's big, it's chunky.
It's big. It's chunky.
As for me thinking about this, like stuff that, what got cut early, what you would have liked, there probably are examples of this, but I don't know for sure. Like, there have been things I've like lost interested in. I'm just thinking back about like how we think about stuff in modern times. It is kind of interesting. Like, the big thing that I always think of in my mind about stuff that the fandom is like super intense about being like canceled early and mishandled by the network is Firefly.
Yeah.
Like, that had like 13 episodes. The network gave it like a bad slot and aired some of the episodes like out of order. Like, the kind of shit that you don't hear about at all today, just because it probably wouldn't work because the internet would know you're reordering the episodes, right? But like, and fan art cry was enough to give it a movie, which is of, I'll say it, okay quality. Serenity's interesting, but it falls into a lot of Joss Whedon's dumb traps about killing characters we like. And also, like, honestly, I don't know if that show had continued past multiple seasons, if it would be good. Like, there's been a lot of discussion, over the past couple years as he kind of moved on to, like, be in, bigger fandoms that, like, no, Joss Whedon is kind of just an asshole to work with. Like, he sounds like he's an intense control freak type director, and stuff, and, like, was, a lot of the people who used to work on him, oh my god, but like don't like him anymore. And it's just one of those moments of like, yeah, I don't know if we would think of that show as good. I still think like it probably is pretty good now with a compact season, just because there's some very quotable line reads. But it's definitely a product of its time. See, Inside Job, I don't think I ever would have gotten tired of. That's just sad and weird. I don't know why Netflix did that, because they still like. Netflix still tries to talk up, hey, look at our cool animation we did, Inside Job, but they split it and canceled it after a season and a half. I also hear that Netflix is dropping That 90s Show after like 2 seasons, but I saw someone like quote tweet that being like, maybe doing your show releases in 3 batches was not the engagement farm you wanted. Which is a separate topic to me, but I do think is another thing that's really interesting, because I talked about this with JoJo Stone Ocean. Like, on the one hand, I really do like binge watching. Like, I like being able to, like, block out time and being like, ooh, boy, we're going to watch, like, 4 episodes of this, and it's actually going to be 10 episodes because I'm not going to sleep tonight. Woo. But also, I do think that, like, genuinely, spacing out your releases on a weekly basis does bring better engagement. Like, people do actually talk about shit, in the context of weekly. I don't know, I'm pretty sure I've personally, like, talked down on that a little. Like, oh, I don't know how important it is. But no, I do actually, like, for other people, I think that, the releases. And Netflix seems to know that, like I said, with their doing how they handle Dungeon Meshi and stuff. They should apply that to lots of shows. I actually have a point to come back to that, but it's entirely in free talk. We're in the middle of mailbag right now.
Mailbag. So, thank you very much for that. We move on to the next one. This next one comes from the man who has listened to over 100 hours of Studio Omega in September. Oh, Jesus. Dear Lucky Omega, I was a huge fan of you guys when you first came out, but I had to stop listening for a while since I got held up and wasn't able to complete some of the Lost Belts as they came out. Thankfully, now that I'm a bit further in, and with a new job that requires me to have something playing in my ear for long periods of time, I have found myself going back and listening to your old content. I have 2 questions for you all. First of all, do you have any recommendations of old episodes I should go back and watch? I'm going through your Teach Me Omega Sensei playlist along with other random episodes as they pop up, but I want to know if there's any that popped into your minds as great episodes I should look at. I will say I am not done with LB6 yet, so that is the only exception of what I don't want to hear about. Second, old callback, but where the f*** is Ron? Or to better explain what I'm asking, was there ever an episode that he actually showed up?
Oh man, what a callback.
That is a callback. So, on your first thing, what I do recommend is you should probably go listen to our old Lost Belt recaps, up to 5, as you have not completed 6. Mega basically took all our podcasts there, cut them down, trimmed them up, put them together, so you can just hear us talk for hours about the Lost Belts as they came out. I do think that's a pretty good recommendation. Unfortunately, as this is a weekly podcast and there are a lot of weeks in the year and we have done this for several years, I cannot necessarily recommend one. I will say our latest episodes are probably better if you just want more of us. Because, like I said, starting this year at some point, I can't remember, we just started integrating our What's Up into Let's Talk FGO. So we talk longer about more things in general. Usually has to do with video games, video game events, and other such media things. We here at Studio Mega really don't like getting into the weeds with, discussions of like politics and world affairs and whatnot, because honestly, that just kind of harshes the buzz, man. The buzz.
Also, I mean, it's one of those things of just like, I don't really want to be one of those nothing ever happens here guys, but also it kind of feels like nothing ever happens here. There's a shitload of tweets that blew about, once again, World War III going to start this week. It didn't. Everybody's really concerned about the longshoremen strike. It ended, like, immediately. They negotiated it, so we're not all going to die because the ports aren't going to be open. It's just one of those things of, like, yeah, I could yap about this, and sometimes I do feel like it, but most of the time it's just like, man, we're going to just move on to something else next week,
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely recommend some of our newer episodes. And the episode we're recording right now is 361. We're getting very close to having an episode of Let's Talk FGO for every day of the year, which is very funny to think about. Not quite leap years, but, that'll come a week later. So yeah, what I would do when I first read this question was, this is one of those things that I'm immediately going to have to be like, hey, chat at home, people out there, leave some comments for some episodes. Feel free to dig up what titles they are, because we have over 360 episodes, I have not put numbers in the title or thumbnail of the episode in a very long time, because, like, that this is an actual, like, researched fact. That gets daunting. People don't want to see something with, like, 300 in the thumbnail tag, because they're going to think they have to listen to all 299 episodes before it. But, yeah, there is a, out there to go and get there. And, yes, some of the patrons are talking about it. Yeah, I will... It's not, like, the actual content's not necessarily directly gameplay related, so I don't know if that's going to fit with their streaming restrictions. I will try and work on that starting in November, because obviously I'm also moving this month. There's no guarantees when that project will actually come out, because it is fucking oodles and oodles of hours of content. I think somebody tabulated and it was like 10 or 12 raw hours of talking about LB6. I may have to do it in, like, chunks. Like, I may actually have to do it as, like, part 1, part 2, part 3, right? Just because there's so fucking much. But we'll see. I'll like I said, I'll start working on it later. So I would love for you to leave in the comments the suggestions of episodes you have liked, for people to go back on. And on the second point, actually, this is an old chuckler. This is a way back, because we haven't talked about that in a while. This was just originally a point for me to get some extra jokes in, and we just decided to drop it because it was a running gag for no reason. But when the show got started, when we were doing Let's Talk as also subtitled Video Game Book Club, we weren't planning on doing Let's Talk FGO every week. We yapped for like 3 hours when we started, and we were like, maybe we'll do it monthly, maybe we'll do it, bi-weekly, and then quickly the content level was like one a week. And then the content kind of fell off. It's funny. It's why we had to pack back in the What's Up. But I don't know if it actually came out first, but it came out around the same time. But we started off doing the Video Game Book Club thing with an episode about the original Life is Strange, which had, like, just released on, like, PS Plus, I think, or something. And so I played it, Lucky played it, and our friend who was in our gaming group at the time, Ron, played it. And so we all sat down and did it. So there was actually a thought, not that I think it was a good thought, because I'm sure the FGO stuff had way better SEO even back in the day. But there was a thought that people would come through on this Video Game Book Club part, they would listen to the Life is Strange episode, then they would get to the Fate Grand Order episode, and so I started it as an explanation for, like, oh yeah, Ron's not here. And it just, like I said, stuck as a running gag for probably, like, 5 years before we dropped it. No, maybe like 4. I don't know. A while. I think... It's going to sound like dog shit, but I think the Life is Strange Video Game Book Club is still up. The types of videos that I've mostly, like, privated or outright deleted are usually either just really crappy old streams or some small vids. But I think the Life is Strange book club is still up. I don't know. You can check it. It's fucking ancient though.
Ancient.
But yeah, there's your second question tackled. And no, I don't believe Ron ever appeared on an episode of Let's Talk FGO.
I haven't heard from that dude in years.
He's like still in our Discord, but no, he doesn't talk to us. Sorry, I had to take a mental pause there because I was shotgun blasted by a tweet. Now you all have to experience it, patrons. Also, yes, Ron is actually in some of our old actual plays as well.
So, with that, let us move on to the next. And this next one comes from returning to the floor, remembering all the feelings leading to the third recollection quest, fighting a certain Lancer. Howdy, Loki and Meg. I hope you're all enjoying the recollection quest we have. As for a question, I am curious to know if we have any updates on Gil versus the World 2.
Oh boy, you guys are just reminding me about all my big-ass projects to work on. Well, Gil versus the World 2. I mean, it's all the writing parts should be done. Though it has been long enough, I may have to double-check some of my sources to see if there's been new research, new data. The reason why because I went pretty ham in the front half of the year, I think, and tried to get it set up. The reason I relaxed is because, I mean, honestly, it's because Lucky got laid off, and there were some chaotic moments there about content and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And I know, you've still been kind of, like, going through the ups and downs of, like, the depression. And honestly, same with me sometimes. I'm just like, man.
Oh, no, trust me. Lucky is still hella depressed.
So
My
it's like
sleep
just one of
schedule
those
is
things where I'm
scrunkled.
like, yeah, I don't know if I want to try and schedule a, God knows how long recording of the stuff and, try and force it through when we could be doing some stuff that's maybe a little more, well, I don't want to say it's not fun, but could be more entertaining. And, like, I will say part of how I judge whether or not I need to push hard on getting stuff done is when people do ask about it. I think I have mentioned several times since I finished the first run of I won't say it's the first run, the most recent run of the script to, like, rattle some sabers, make some noise about it. So it's good to have a question about it. Well, like I said, I got it done. I'll take a look at it again, and like I said, double check my sources to see if we got some more research. Like I said, because there's at the time anyway, and checking back, 6 months later, there were some like profiles and mats that people still hadn't gotten around to like translating or even I think like posting and scanning. This is why I'd really love Lasengal Aniplex if you could publish the FGO materials in English. I'd love to have first-party research materials. But, it's one of those things that I'm sure we will get to eventually, if only just because someday we'll be like, oh shit, right, that. But, like I said, it's one of those things of just like, do I really want to try and scrunkle the time to get everybody together, or do I just want to play Civ with Lucky? I'll tell you the answer to that question. I know that answer. I'll play Civ. Not that I hate, Gil versus the World 2, but like I said, it's just a matter of like prioritizing and scheduling and shit. And honestly, I don't actually have to do it this way, but in my mind, I'm like, I probably should do the Lost Belt 6 recaps first. That will also take me a long time. Like I said, we got one of those streams is like 7 hours long, and I don't have the Audacity file. I'm gonna have to re-download our fucking stream and see if I can strip the audio out of that. That's gonna be funny, chat. Anyway. So yeah, there's your Gil versus the World 2 updates.
All right, so that is that. So, moving on. This next one comes from the Tiger King that came back to ZZZ for Caesar, or Kaiser, I'm not sure how they're going to pronounce it in there, and won all the 50/50s. Yay. Question. Hey guys, do you prefer regular size first episodes or more girthy fest episodes for anime? By girthy, I mean like hour to hour and a half long. And also, any ideas for the next Liz Welfare? Anyway, that's it for me. Sending good vibes your way. Wah, 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 wah. And hope you have a great evening. Me personally, I like the hour and a half because, like I said, I always go by the rule of threes when it comes to anime. Give it 3 episodes and then make your judgment. So if they just give me all 3 episodes right up front, it's like, oh shit, I can just watch this all at once. Let's go.
Yeah, I will say
I do believe that ReZero did like an hour and a half for their newest season, I think.
Yeah, I will say that's something that I don't think anime does a lot, but it would be really interesting to see them flex their legs on, like, because that's something that, like, normal live-action TV will do, which is, like, even if you are going to be, like, a 30-minute time slot, like, sometimes you'll get the hour-long pilot, or even you'll get a 1.5 or 2-hour pilot movie, and I'm like, sometimes the pilots are very rough because they're shot differently, but I am a sucker for a good, like, double-length pilot episode, Just get all your extra content in. So, yeah, I do think I like it when they go for better. There is something to be said for, like, cramming everything you need to know in a fucking 22-minute, 1.5 hour slot anime episode, but sometimes that can be tough, which is why we always say to give it the 3-episode rule. So yeah, I'm all for bigger, beefier pilots.
Yeah. Nice. So that is that. And as for our new Liz welfare, listen, we've had some moon shenanigans, so I'm like, so clearly we need a moon Halloween. That means we gotta bust out corroded Liz.
It's been 5,000 years.
Oh. Yeah, sure, make it Avenger Liz. Make it corroded Liz versus the ELIZAS.
That'd be pretty good, yeah.
That was a great joke in Jason's interlude. If you guys probably have done it because, it's Jason, but in Jason's interlude, basically he's like, no one fucking respects me as the captain, so clearly I just need to get more crewmates. And of course Liz shows up and then brings along the entire Liz squad, and they just rate up, wait, there's a fuck ton of us, we can just make our own Argonauts, the ELIZAS, and they get their own ship and everything, and it was off-screen battle, but...
Yeah,
I was like, no, that's great.
And I love that, like, we are with Liz, where that Liz is in content that leans on the fourth wall enough that we can straight up acknowledge there's that many of her. Like, I don't think the game ever, other than occasionally in, like, asides, like in an MHX type interlude or something, the game doesn't actually acknowledge how many Artorias or Saberfaces there are anymore, unless we're in, like, a gag episode. So, like, Liz would be perfect to be, like, Space Liz or Avenger Liz and the ELIZAS and just go through all that stuff.
No, I think it'd be grand.
Let's see, what Liz's are we missing? We don't have an archer, I don't think. There's a writer, there's a caster. Actually, I don't think there is a berserker Liz. That'd be pretty universally applicable. I'm pretty sure there's not an assassin Liz, but also there's Carmilla, so that kind of works that way, at least in the OG. And then there's several extra classes we don't got. Though, in case you don't know, she is coming up as a pretender welfare in this upcoming Halloween event for us in English, so keep that one open-ended. But whatever it is, more Liza, the better.
Yeah. Alright. And from there, we shall move on to our last one, who comes from Agent 418, who says, hello, Lucky and Omega. Have a good weekend, y'all. Well, I am surviving, so it can be good. Like, very much. Oh, excuse me.
Thumbs up.
And
ding.
That is that.
Alrighty, what a wonderful mailbag it was. We've put over an hour on the mission clock. I'm going to sip some water because, as I mentioned earlier, it's fucking hot in here. Seriously, it's almost 8:30 at night, and my computer temperature fires are still showing 80 degrees outside. What is this hell? That's why I retweeted a meme earlier where it's the grandma meme, but it's like, I remember when October used to be cold, and then the other lady is like, Grandma, that's your fault. Not necessarily literally your granny's fault, but it is funny. Anyway, that means it's time to move on to the segment of our show, which is titled Free Talk, but is going to be basically entirely taken up today with the pre-game for Halloween Rebellion. And I did put in my notes when I wrote this that, hey, I'm going to warn you, I wrote this at like 11 p.m. with a slightly melted brain. I had half a sleeve of saltine crackers and a single hard-boiled egg because I was not hungry. And my allergies laid me out for like 4 hours. So, But listen, there's only so much you can do laying on the bed with a pillow over your face before you're just like, okay, I need to get up and run around or I'm going to go insane. I entered that phase of my night where I was not just talking to myself, but I was just talking nonsense. Hopefully people can relate to the talking nonsense phase. Anyway, it's funny that I do this preamble because this event is a little weird. It's going to be a little bit of a weird one. So, Liz is back for another adventure, which thus must be called a Halloween, and like I said before, the official English version is branding it as Halloween Rebellion. But honestly, it's a little bit closer to a cosplay. I would say in a sense, it seems kind of like, almost like the old Journey to the West event a little as well. Obviously, not as terrible for, like, farming and stuff. But, like, we're gonna be, pretty openly working in the context of the water margin, so keep that in mind. Also, was mentioned previously, but I'll mention again, this is expecting an Olympus clear, kids. Not just Lost Belt 5 Part 1, but Lost Belt 5 Part 2 has to be cleared, so keep that shit in mind. Now, so, with all that said, expect a time-gated MSQ, and that's it. There's no point gates, there's nothing like that. It's, there's 7 acts. As far as I can tell, they're going to open one every day. There's going to be a prologue and an epilogue. That shall grant you 6 Saint Quartz, your temporary, and then your permanent Liz, 9 Dragon Eliza. You will also get an NP copy and an Ascension mat from this. That's how bare bones this is. They're putting one of the NP copies and one of the Ascension mats in your fucking main story rewards. And a Grail. Sorry, that's my bad. I'll have to put the content warning at the front before I mention the Journey to the West event again. Sorry. It could be worse. At least I didn't mention Saber Wars 1. Somebody just had a 3 million point value heart attack just then. Sorry. Not sorry. But yeah, no. So like I said, this is like super straightforward. You are not going to get a lot of Saint Quartz out of this. And we're going to pack in like some of your stuff right away. But it does give us some very interesting things. So what you got instead that is going to be your primary, pointification on this, your real grind set here is that as you clear MSQ, you're going to unlock new jobs, new tasks at the Sestige Mount Nyang. I once knew how to pronounce the castle name, but I have forgotten and I don't want to look it up again. But basically, you're going to have Mount Nyang, which is also Castle Sestige. And so you're going to have jobs. At these jobs, you're going to assign servants. Some guest characters are pre-assigned, but you can replace them with your version of a servant. So this is a menu that's kind of similar to the like Hot Springs or Amazon S Tower type event where you get like little slots where you can put servants, but this time they're actually doing stuff for you. So how this works is when you finish a free quest or another type of event quest we're going to talk about later, you're going to get progress on your jobs. You're going to generate points towards your jobs. Different jobs require certain different kinds of points. And that's going to be based on the level of the servants you've got in the slots, with higher level being better. I believe the point bonus caps out at level 100. So you don't get extra points for like having 120s. But if you do have grailed servants all the way to 100, you will get extra point generation.
Cool.
And so you're going to generate points on your jobs every time you finish, like I said, a free quest or a funding quest, as those event quests are called. We'll talk about what those are later, fundraising quests. And then when you max out the points on the job, you reach the maximum level of the job, you get a payout of your reward, and you will unlock fundraising quests. I'll talk a little bit later, but there are a lot of jobs and so a lot of rewards, and they've got variable levels of slots. So you will be benefited by this by, having lots of servants and having lots of high-level servants. You also can generate extra points through some of your event CEs, which we will discuss later as well. So, this is really interesting where, like, main quest stuff is dirt simple. Just log in and do the quest. But as you want to get your rest of your clearance, you can get in there. So your MSQ, like I said, be a little funny. A lot of these nodes have choices you can make, which will actually split up which fights you do.
Okay.
We won't be breaking through, like, every different version of them because most of those are simple. But, like, I think as early as, like, Act 2, you will, like, be able to go, like, let's do a task, and you'll be able to be like, let's go hunting versus let's go fishing, and I think there's a third one. The fight is different. It's not really, like, more or less difficult in that case, which you do. It's just you get assigned a different support servant, and you have a different enemy to fight. They're all around the same, like, power level. Some of these get a little more complex as you go on. So you're going to run into a lot of mobs, which are going to be sabers, assassins, or berserkers, and there's a couple of other ones as well that'll be in there. Like, I think there's some riders at some point, stuff like that, for mobs. Decent number of possible enemies. There's too many combos to explain all of them in a way that'll make sense. I'm just going to have some short notes for some of your more actually, like, intense fights. Mobs are all going to be, like, under 50k HP, but your mini-bosses and servants can be as high as, like, 150k HP, not accounting for, like, big boss fights with actual break bars. So like I said, Act 2, you're going to actually pick some options, but none of them are really going to matter too much. Just pick whatever you like. Pip 2 is going to have a big brawl where you're going to have, like, we're going to have a couple of fights in here which are going to have, 6 enemies on screen type shit. But the third one is actually going to be a fight you're going to have to look out for. I won't say it's a real fight, but it does have some stuff you're going to want to pay attention to. You're going to fight a rider enemy with 281 and 342k HP, and an assassin with 308, 361k HP, so that's 2 break bars. But don't worry, you just have to live one turn. The assassin will charge their NP to full immediately, and the rider will give both enemies, like, 2 hits, 1 turn of invul, and also a damage resist. So just, like, don't die, and you'll be fine. But you will probably have to strategize around that. Act 3 is going to have, 3 different fights you can pick in it. There'll be a different buff or debuff based on which fight you get, but the enemies don't have break bars, and they all have less than 200k HP. So again, it's not, like, really complex. It's just, like, one of them you pick, your whole team will get poisoned for, like, 300 for 3 turns. One of them you might pick, and the enemy might get, like, an attack up. Stuff like that. Act 4, I think, is a pretty funny one to get into. So basically, no matter what, you're gonna have a solo fight using the new rider Huang Feihu against a Lancer boss who's got 212k HP, no break bars. But you basically pick whether you want to do it now or later. In Pip 1, you can do either a different fight or do the solo fight, and then if you go to the second Pip, you're gonna do the solo fight. Or if you do the solo fight in first, you have a different fight that you can do in the second Pip. So it's just one of those cases of, like, it's funny to me that this solo battle happens no matter what. It's just a question of, like, do you do it right away or do you wait to do it? Act 5 is going to have another fake out. You're going to fight an assassin with 140k HP. Technically, they've got a second break bar, but the moment you break the bar, the battle ends. Act 6 is going to have a pick your boss situation. So you literally get to pick a side in this fight. I don't know the context, but you get to pick them. So you either get to fight an assassin with 120k HP or 9 Dragon ELIZA with 254k HP. So it sounds like siding with Ellie is easier. But both fights are solo. You're going to have to solo it with either ELIZA or with the boss. And the enemy's going to have similar buffs where they're going to start with 2 hits of invul. Every 5 turns, they're going to proc a buff that either removes all of their stuns and other crowd control type debuffs. The wiki phrased this as remove immobilization type debuffs, so that includes all forms of stun, but also shit like skill seal, NP seal, and the stats that will proc those, confusion and terror. And it seems like a coin flip. They do this effect every 5 turns, or they give themselves 1 turn of NP damage up, buster up. So, like, one of these sounds like it's slightly easier, but, pick your poison, because you do have to do a solo. And I do believe that the way the class advantages, Assassin and Pretender, kind of just go by each other. They're both neutral. And the final boss is funny. It's a Berserker. On paper, it has a shitload of HP, but story buffs are going to cancel out most of its HP, so it's going to be a lot smaller. I didn't actually do the math for how much HP you're actually going to have to chew through. But your team is going to be, you have to use your ELIZA, you have to use support Huyanzhou, the new 5-star, and then you've got 3 servant slots your own, and you can take a friend support / story support slot as well. But the boss is going to give your whole party a stun and poison on turn 1, unless they are a child servants, Huyanzhou, ELIZA, or Qinyangyu. So, kind of limiting your options. But like I said, it's a fight that looks super daunting, but is going to, like, self-reduce down. So like I said, I don't know how much story there is, but it does definitely seem like a lot of the fights are much more story-driven than normal. So, we're going to have some funny stuff in there. Now, your free quests, they're all still monoclass, but remember, this requires an LB clear, so your wave bosses are going to be in that 100 to, like, 150k HP range for most of them. These are going to be chonke bosses. Your funny nodes, that is your not 3-3-3 nodes. The first one is going to be a rider node that's 2-1-3, and your biggest bonkliest node is Saber, and that's going to be 1-3-1, which is one of the most annoying combos. And that last one is you're going to do a Saber fight that's going to have 700k HP. So not quite BB with 1 million HP, but, like, still a lot of HP. And like I said, it's going to be 1-3-1. And I should say straight up, in case it matters, the final boss is going to be Dioscuri, so watch out for them with their auto-piercing NP. You're going to try and, like, 3-turn it, but, like, just be careful. Those guys can be tough. So your funding quests are going to be your usual bonus quests, the type of thing that get packed in a lot of these events. Some of them have break bars, most of them don't. They're going to be moderately tough. You're going to have to fight, a couple of servants in a single battle. This will get you 1 copy of each of the point CEs. The points are used for job completion. Yes, by the way, this does mean there are 3 fucking event CEs, and all of them have 5 copies you can get. Yay. Also, this is where you get the command codes, because there's no, like, external point ladder. And also, several lores. I think there may be, like, 3 or 4 crystallized lores in these fundraising quests. So you are going to want to do your jobs at Mount Liang, because those will unlock your fundraisers. Your shop is going to contain the other 4 CE copies of each of the 3 event CEs. So it's like 1 at the bronze currency, 1 at the silver currency, and then 2 at the gold. And then the other is in the 1. So, you got your full copies. We're good. You're going to include, this also includes your other 3 NP and Ascension Material copies for 9 Dragon ELIZA. Those are all in there. And like I said, those, it's just NP copies in main story or shop. Got the usual EXPs and foes. This is including 5-star EXPs and stuff. You got your usual code keys in business. You got some Liz coins, and you're going to have mats like chains, spinal fluid, horseshoes, pages, dust, soaps, snake gems, lanugos, twilight blades, baby, bloodstones, bicorn horns, comet shards, allure, and once again, all 7 statue types in both silver and gold.
Ooh,
Thank
shit.
you. So yeah, no, good shop shit. And like I said, there's a variety of awards. There's quite a few to do them. Like I think at one point it says that like you unlock like the last fundraising quest by like completing like 150 Mountain Yang jobs. So you'll be farming a lot. Luckily, like I said, you'll have plenty of time to do it because the story stuff should be pretty basic. To complete these things, you're going to get bonus servants. The breakdown goes a little something like this. At the top, with plus 100% damage and plus 50% bond, you've got the Welfare ELIZA, the new 4-star Hyung Fehu, and the new 5-star Hyun Jo. So all those guys are, double damage, extra bond. Yan King specifically, only him, gets 70% damage and 30% bond.
Oh.
Because, he is a water margin guy, so they gave him his own special little category.
That is nice.
In your middle tier, you're going to have Zenobia, Robin Hood, The Don, Inshun, Boudica, Rhyme, Matahari, actually, Amakuso, Lobo, Abby, and Jacques de Molay in 50% damage, 20% bond. All your forms of Liz, all possible Liz's, Yagyu Munonori, Fergus, Sei Shonagon, just regular Sei, not Summer, the aforementioned Chin Yangyu, Tango Wong, Mandracardo, Blackbeard, Lady Murasaki, Avik Kebaron, Jinkei, and Fumakataro are all 30% damage and 20% bond. Notably, Mash is not on this list. Not sure why. I'm sure we'll have some story reason, but she's not included in the listicle. But honestly, like a pretty diverse. There's quite a lot of welfares and quite a lot of silver and bronze servants in this list. So got some funnies. Your banner number 1 should drop with limited SSR Hyun Jo, assassin, and permanent writer in the 4-star slot Huang Feihu. I do think Huang is a pretty cool guy. It's just that he wasn't a limited SSR and also wasn't a lady, so nobody really got crazy about it. But there are going to be some drop CEs as well in the banner. And there will be a second summon campaign. I will not say summon banner. Probably going to launch like a week later. This is going to include raid-ups, which include Jacques de Molay Yang King, Sei Shonagon Yagi Minonore, Taikobo and Heshin Lobo, and Lady Murasaki and Chin Liangyu. Liang and Yan King are going to get rank ups, and there'll be a special My Room background if you want to take any funny screenshots. I'm pretty sure every Halloween event has had a funny My Room background, but they do like to announce this, so I'll be sure to let you know. Get ready. And I really need to think of a better outro line for pre-games. My first instinct is just to steal Russian Badgers, so that's about it. Because it is, but yeah, that's what we got.
That's all there is. There is no more.
Though, if you want to know more about the upcoming SSR, there should be a wanted in the upcoming week. But I will warn you now, as I get news beamed to me through the internet. We're gonna take that as a maybe because Wednesday this week, my state is gonna get blasted by another hurricane. Thankfully, this one is smaller than the last one. But currently the blob of tracking shows it on Wednesday passing somewhere through Florida. So we'll see how that one goes. I will try to get the one to you though in as timely a manner as possible. But yeah, it looks like it's going to be fun. Again, some of these HP values might be a little chunky. The Gouda Gouda we just did felt like there were definitely some free quests and some story quests that were just like big meaty guys. But you do have a much more diverse, I think, bonus damage selection here. So we're going to have fun, I think. But yeah, that is indeed the pregame segment. That means it's time for... What's up? I got a few different things we can bring up in the What's Up. We kind of talked about it Wednesday, but we also kind of just, zoned in and out. But we did finally get our live letter from the producer.
Yeah.
So telling us what's coming in 7.1. New MSQ, new dungeon. But a lot of the haven't gonna have a lot of the content type that you've talked about before that are really good to have in your update, because we're gonna get more of our ongoing content. Gonna get our first alliance raid. Gonna get our first allied quest. It is Pelu Pelu. They have confirmed.
Yep.
Gonna get a new custom deliveries, which is gonna be pretty cool. It's gonna be Train Lady, which of course means the rest of the train boys are gonna show up. There were a few other things. There's some really interesting stuff in general they're doing. Should be a new series of PvP. There are going to be some more PvP updates. doing some housing stuff, which is real interesting. Like, gonna make it so that you can use
change
any
your
exterior.
Interior.
Oh yeah, any interior style, no matter where you're started, and also you can get rid of the pillars, which I know.
Yes.
You literally said when USHP announced that that's something you've wanted.
Well, yeah, no, like I don't necessarily mind the pillars sometimes, but they're one of those things that you can't put things through them. They are an unavoidable object, so you have to build around them.
Yeah, so now you can get rid of them for free.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, Pelu. Again, a lot of interesting of the high-endist content. They're doing Jade Stoa Unreal, so Unreal Byakko. Gonna get the new Ultimate Raid, Futures Rewritten, which I'm sure is gonna be bonkers.
Oh, it definitely is.
And also, we're getting our first Chaotic Alliance raid. So, basically, Savages, but for Alliance. The first one is going to be the Cloud of Darkness Chaotic, which is going to look really interesting. We just happened to get on roulettes the in-raid version of Cloud of Darkness.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think I agree with some statements that were made at the time with the Crow Mafia that I'm pretty sure the Chaotic raid is the version of the Cloud of Darkness boss fight we do there is gonna be like a mishmash of the big and small, which is not gonna be great because that means you're gonna do meteors and you might have to like move through squares, but you got to do the square thing with no jumping with fucking 24 people. It's gonna probably be crazy. I'm gonna be very interested also how like setting it up and stuff is gonna work. You know, like I assume it's probably like definitely not gonna have like a normal roulette queue, but you know, will you be able to queue up randomly with randos at a decent time? Or are you going to have to be trolling Party Finder? And is that going to work for 24-man?
Oh, no, you can do alliances and Party Finder. It's just a bit of a pain to set up.
Well, that's what I mean, right? Like, are people actually going to bother? I hope so, because, like, I'm very interested in this because that's going to be it's going to be crazy, you know? But it's going to add all new memes. Let's see. They've added new duty support editions. I do like that they said they're going to add duty support for non-MSQ for optional dungeons. They're going to start with Holly Tali and they're going to keep going, which is pretty good because like there's definitely going to be some oddball stuff to check out. With some of the dungeons that were technically optional. I think one of the big ones is they are revamping Hall of the Novice. They're adding a new tier basically at level 49 you can access, which is sadly still optional, but will explicitly teach mechanics like stacks, towers, tank busters, AoE markers, look away. That's all the ones we've got confirmed. As I said, it's still optional. I kind of wish it wasn't to access those level 50 duty finders. Like, that would be nice. But I can understand we're going to gently on-ramp, you know. At the very least, now you can be extra mad at people if they don't know how the fuck a stack works. It's just like, my guy, we're doing level 50 content. You could have done Hall of the Novice.
People don't got time for that.
I know, but, you know, it's I'm glad we're gonna teach them. We're gonna show them the mechanics. Let's see. This is another one that's really weird, but funny to me, but some people are very excited about. We're getting NPC voiceovers to Dome and Mahjong. Now Yashola is going to verbally roast you when you get a dogshit Mahjong hand.
I want it.
Yeah, there's VO for Mahjong now, which is, will be sometime in mid-November, they said. No exact dates yet. They're going to have new role quests. So basically, we're going to get the conclusion to the Dawntrail role quests. And there's going to be a new Wachukimeki. I think I said that right, but I might not have put enough QIs in there. Basically, if you do all those quests, there's going to be a follow-up quest as well added. That's something that I will be able to do the role quest one right away. I will not be able to do the Wachukimeki updates yet because I don't have all my crafters leveled.
I should probably get started on that.
I keep saying to myself, like, I'm going to have a 114 stream, which is just going to be no battle content. It's just going to be me sitting and fucking crafting for 3 hours. I'm going to, like, do my daily allotment of dwarves and, God, I forgot my fucking moon rabbit's name for a second.
Loporits?
Yeah, the Loporits. I'm going to, just do them, do other shit, maybe do my, studium deliveries. Maybe throw in a little fishing because I'm super behind on. I'm still back in the Crystarium fishing line.
Well, that's what we should do next week. No battle, only crafting and gathering. Shit, I need to get caught up on that stuff too. Anyway, so I'd be down.
Hey, good excuse as any. Yeah. So like, because I did the one that's the normal gathering. Minor botanist in Wachukimeki, and it was pretty nice. It was very fun to actually hang out and do a a Viera, especially with 2 male Viera NPC focused one, and just be like, oh, neato, Viera facts, TM. And so like I'm eager to get into more of those because those are always fun, but got to catch up on that stuff. Let's see, is there anything else? Oh, right, I have not mentioned it yet. We will also once again have the inconceivably further Hildebrand adventures. They've already showed us Nashu in Solution 9, so we're all fucked.
The true face of evil.
Are you ready for Nashu to figure out Electrope has many uses? Robin in Pager Chat's like, no, save me. No, no save me here. Also, other good jokes I've heard, putting Inspector Brandahild in the GPU, which is the Arcadion. God knows what other shit could happen. But yeah, no, so that'll be great to get into that phase as well. And like I said, we're gonna, we'll get our good old contentos. And they have called this patch officially Crossroads. It's got a pretty sick graphic. There's some guys in it.
There's some dudes.
And very funnily, Bakular Jaja is front and center in the poster, so
I'm excited.
Yeah, it seems like, as usual, it seems like we're gonna get, follow-up in the MSQ about a lot of characters that, like, when we're, pacing out the story to fit a 10-level curve, we don't necessarily have the time to do all the things we want to do. So, I'm guessing there's gonna be, Bakul Jaja follow-up, and we're gonna get some, Zoril Jah, follow-up as well. Because he didn't have to be, like, super detailed, but it is, one of the follow-ups. Oh, God, I'm sorry. I'm reminded of a meme that I technically heard it through the group doing the, actual plays of the tabletop RPG. But, there was a meme that briefly went around on Twitter about, every Final Fantasy villain is like, wahaha, I want to destroy the world and kill everybody. And then 10 seconds after you beat them, I just wanted to play on the playground. And I'm just like, God, it really do be. I mean, there are plenty of Final Fantasy villains who are just like, inconceivable, I cannot believe you have defeated me, the most ultimate bad dude, the baddest dude to ever bad, I can't believe it. Unless you're Sephiroth, which is usually just, nah, didn't beat me, I'll be back. I'll never
You just beat up a part of my mom!
Lol, not real, gaslit, tricked. Sephiroth really do be out here gaslighting, girl bossing, and gatekeeping. But like that is certainly a lot of Final Fantasy 14 villains are definitely the, you beat them up and then they're like, I just wanted to play on the playground. It's like, well, I'm real sorry about that, bud. But you shouldn't have turned into an 8-man then. But yeah, so good live letter, good updates. Had to be up a little early in the morning to catch it because it was live at TGS. That was fun. I did mention earlier talking about episode drops and pacing. It is now early October, which means that the third season of Critical Role's Legend of Vox Machina is back on Amazon Prime. So you have 2 possible things you should be watching on Amazon Prime this month. The other one, by the way, being the Yakuza TV series, which is looking even more interesting as time goes on. They showed a trailer very recently, which shows not only are they incorporating more of Yakuza 0 than maybe we first thought from the like summary.
Mm-hmm.
But also does seem like they're doing like straight up original stuff too, which I am not against for an adaptation. I think how many episodes did we say that has? I think it was 8. It was dug up a couple weeks ago when we talked about it last. So not so many. But what I said in the response was this is, they got Majima's actor to say Kiryu-chan in the right inflection. So I'm like, that's fine. We're good. Everything's all right. But yeah, Legend of Vox Machina is back. 6 episodes. Jeez. Yeah, that's not going to be short at all. I hope they are at minimum 60 minutes. Please, Amazon. But yeah, Legend of Vox Machina is back, and they do an interesting thing, I think, for their production cycle, which is that they drop like 3 episodes every, Friday morning, Thursday night, basically. So you can watch the first 3 episodes of season 3 and the next, probably for about 12 episodes. As always, it's, pretty well animated. All the core voice actors are killing it, and they invite all their best friends. And the first episode is marked as in memoriam to Lance Reddick, because I think this will be like his last credited role, because he is the big bad of this season, the big dragon Thordak, and he did record all of his VO before his sudden passing. So that was nice of them to include the extra, they had a little moment where they fade to black and did in memoriam, and yeah, he's all in there, killing it too. Sounded like he was having a blast as a giant dragon.
Who wouldn't kill it as a giant dragon? You're a giant dragon.
Yeah. But like I said, just good stuff coming out. Plenty of funs for you to watch. Like I said, they drop, I think the episodes are around 30 minutes and obviously don't have normal commercial breaks. Amazon still inserts ads depending on your tier, but, it's different. But I think the strategy of just straight up being like, okay, we'll just release three episodes every week also works, because it gives you a decent chunk to watch, but it doesn't give you too much. If you are interested in just one episode, I do believe they posted the first episode of season 3 just on YouTube. I can't imagine functioning in our current world without having access to Amazon Prime, just because, getting shit delivered. But if you're thinking about it, you can check it out on YouTube for completely free. And then another interesting one. Actually, this wasn't in my notes, but I can bring it up as well. Somebody in Patreon chat brought it up. As you might expect from TGS and stuff, there are, rounds of interviews going around, and people are still poking Yoshi P about an FF9 remake. And I actually read this. I think it was an IGN article. It's interesting because, like, the headline quote and even in the article, I think, like, puts a little extra English on what Naoki Yoshida said. The short version of what he was quoted as saying in the actual article is basically like, well, if we were to we're interested in FF9 remake. If we were going to do it, there's a lot of content there. We would be concerned about fitting it into a single game. The IGN article goes on to say, like, make direct allusions to remake being a trilogy and several other games being more broken up into mini franchises. It prompted an interesting discussion in our Discord, and I think it is an interesting conversation to have, which is just about, like, I guess, our changing expectations of video games, right? Like, I used an example from, like, FF7. 7 and 9 were, both on PlayStation 1. There was basically no VO, and you could get away with what I call less is more using text boxes, right?
Yeah.
So, like, when you did a screen transition in, like, 7, if you've got, like, a small story scene, you go to a new area, you might just have, like, a couple of dialogue boxes between the characters, and then the characters don't talk again until you, like, at the very least get to the next screen, sometimes until you get to the next area, right? And they don't chat at all during, like, the overworlds. It's one of those things of, like, yeah, I don't know, if we did our scenes and scripting that way with, like, full body engines, I think people would be a little more disappointed. So, like, if they did give 9 the full revamp treatment, it's already a decent length game. How much time came up on how long to beat? What, like 39?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so 40-hour game on its own now. And I'm assuming that's direct story completion, not going for Hundo P completion, because
yes,
old school FF games are, I say old. Well, I was gonna correct myself and say old school and be like, I'm pretty sure they were doing this shit up as far as like 12 and 13, but also like
not 13. 13 was very straightforward.
Yeah,
that's
regular
why
13 was very linear. I feel like there may have been some more complex stuff, but yeah, definitely at least as far as 12, there was some hella obscure RNG bullshit that you like needed a guide or a game facts to figure out. But also that was the PS2 era, which is like technically retro.
We can say it's fucking retro.
I mean,
bro.
Yeah.
But fun fact. So I don't know why, but I had the hankering because I've been thinking about it. It's like guys, I have not beat the OG. Like I haven't beat many Final Fantasy as much as I love the series. I haven't beat many of them. Anything like I've beat, like I haven't beaten 12 and I haven't beaten like 9 and below. I have beaten Mystic Quest and Legends 2, but Legends 2 isn't actually Final Fantasy. It is legit not Final Fantasy. And Mystic Quest is a dumbed down Final Fantasy because us dirty Westerners didn't know how to fucking play hard games back in the day. And it's true. Don't fucking at me.
Also, once again, a lot of the shit is, obscured and weirdly translated. Like some of the interface back in the day was just not good.
Nay. But so I was thinking about it, like I haven't beat like 7, 8, or 9 because we were talking about this in our Discord, and some people were talking about how we don't need the big AAA remake and it doesn't need to be on like 2 to 3 games. I'm all like, maybe not. Like I don't actually know how big FF9 is, but like I pulled guys, I'm gonna tell you this. I pulled up my Final Fantasy X HD remaster, the combo pack with X2, which I love both those games, by the way. I checked my playtime on that. In Final Fantasy X, I had 172 hours in. Like I opened up my save file. I was in the end game. I was just in the Omega Ruins, which is like the super secret dungeon at the back, just grinding it out. My Titus had Save the Queen, which was turns overdrive into AP, then with double AP and double overdrive, I was like, oh, I'm just grinding out Titus so I can just make him a fucking monster. You know, then I hit something. I just hit something with a regular ass sword. You know, I'm doing like I'm getting crits for 99,999, which is, you know, the actual cap when you break past actually I don't know. I don't know if there's a thing like something that lets you break past that number too. But it's just like one of those things. I'm like, oh yeah, no. This game, I have just been running around, like, trying to find all the hidden stuff, because there's a fuck ton of side quests to do in here. So even if a game does only have, like, a 40-hour game time, depending on how much stuff they stick into the side, and how much they engage you in the grinding, in the grind loop, like, you can really, like, stretch those games out, and with, if you were to try to bring that up to, like, a modern era, it's like, because you wouldn't want to put in something that does less. You always want to make it into something that does more.
Yeah, and especially because with the pixel remasters and like previous re-releases, like Square has made it possible for you to buy a lot of their old games multiple times, mostly as they were, with just minor graphical touches.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I'm pretty sure there's a port, like a Steam port of 9 you can just buy now. So, and same with FF7. Like, if you just want to play the original FF7, you don't want to wait for the third remake game, you can do that right now. It's cheap. It's $20. Might be cheaper some days.
I will say, I don't want anyone ever want to fucking talk about remaking FF10. That game is fucking perfect as is.
I mean, honestly, I was talking about this in the FF9 discussion. I do think there is something to be said for 8. Like, 8 is kind of a controversial entry, but, like, does have a lot of, like, diehards, and, like, I feel like is left out of this remake conversation a lot, which is interesting. I think 9 is the last game that they can truly, like, remake without, like, having to do some big leaps in content, because, like, 10 and 12 on the PS2, like, they have VO, they had, like, orchestral soundtracks, they have HD updates that I think reorchestrate their soundtracks, you know?
Oh, yeah. But no, I was, like, playing it, I was like, oh, no, this game is still just good. It's like, it has a bunch of interesting systems, it has a bunch of side content, the story OG is good. Like, I forgot how much fun stuff there was actually to do in 10. Like, I always, you know, talk about Blitzball! And guess what? I immediately went in to play a Blitzball match. I'm like, no, yes, this is still fun. But, like, I forgot, like, you can customize your weapons. Like, if you get, like, a sword with, like, 4 empty slots, you can just throw whatever the fuck you want on it and make whatever weapon. Same with, like, your defensive options. So that way you don't need to, like, have, like, 800 fucking, you know, well, me personally, I do love it when you have, like, a fuck ton of equipment slots, but the fact that you can just create what armor and weapons you wanted to use was really good. You can upgrade your Aeons to you know, have different abilities and have better stats. Like the sphere grid is like really weird. I think like it's a kind of controversial in how it works, but when you look at it, I'm like, no, this is actually pretty fucking rad. It takes like almost like, you know, the job system and, you know, breaks it down. And, you know, I think they kind of liked it because they went with the job board in 12.
Yeah. And the license board in the original 12 was like everybody had the exact same one, but then they re-released it on PS2 anyway for what they called the International Edition, which let you pick a job, and then Zodiac Age was like, no, that was good, we're going to keep that, and actually we're going to make it better, we're going to let you pick 2 job grids. Let's go.
And, like, again, like, some people have beef with, like, the story, especially with Titus. I still see people mocking Titus's laugh.
I mean, that's just
to this day.
Well, it is a bad laugh, but it's on purpose.
Yes, like, I'm about to say, the bad laugh is on purpose. He's hamming it up. Literally, he's hamming it up to try and make this girl feel better.
And yes, could the voice actor have done, like, a more subtle job of that? Sure. But this game was released in, what, like, 2001? 2000?
Yeah, no, that's actually something I was listening to the voice work. I'm like, okay, this voice acting ain't bad, but it's worse than I remember for some odd reason.
And that's the thing about like, remastering, right? Like, yes, they could redo the script and re-record all the VO, but, like, I don't think you would fundamentally need to, like, rebuild or re-script those games, because I think they got all the shit they wanted in, like, 10 and 12, and, you know, in 10 like, sequel 10 too. Like, they got all the shit out there. You don't need to remake them in that sense unless you're doing, like, a huge graphical overhaul, which, like, would be cool, but for Square is probably not worth the effort of. Like, the fact that you can get the 10 collection and 12 Zodiac Age like on Steam and on your modern like PlayStation and Xbox marketplace, that's fine. By the way, because you brought up with 10 and 10-2, I had to bring it up. I double checked my Zodiac Age time. I've got like 2 Zodiac Age runs that are like half done. So my total play time in 12 Zodiac Age is 242 hours. Once again, those games, crazy amounts of side content. So like depending on how big 9 is like,
yeah, like I like that's one of the reasons why I was like saying I gotta play 9 because I don't actually know how much content there is in 9. Because if you wanted to remake 9, like first off, you would have to redo the graphics. Even if we're not going for like FF7 remake graphics, we would have to make like all new environments, all new character models, you know, monster models, weapons, like all that stuff. That's gonna take up a lot of space. Then you're gonna have music, sound design, also a lot of space. VO, a lot of space. And it's like, if you want like a faithful adaptation of it, that means they have to include everything in there and then expand upon it so it doesn't feel like a cop-out. Because that's the thing with remakes, I feel like, is the problem. People want the game to be exactly the same but different. And their level on how much they want on that is always wildly wanted. It's always violently different between people. Like me personally, I wouldn't mind it if we kept like kind of the more cartoonish, like chibi-ish kind of figures in this stuff right now. But still, even like bringing that up to like modern standards, that'd still be pretty freaking big. We wouldn't be able to use, you know, the painted backgrounds that characters just literally run on top of.
Yeah, no more renders. That was the thing that I think like was for 7 was a big deal. Like they did a great job of it, but the 7 remakes, that was also on PS1. All those were pre-rendered like just static backgrounds. They had to be like, okay, we need to 3D model this now as a thing you can walk around in, and at the very least for 7, fight in, because they switched to a more action RPG. I think that there are points in the 7 remakes where you can be a little more tactical, like you can set it to, you know, wait mode and stuff.
Like I do want FF9 to return to turn-based combat because I was looking at it, I do like my action RPGs, but like there's just something about just, you know, being at the battle screen turn-based, but like, what's going to be my next move?
But that is also, like, I mean, not more work than turning it to an action RPG, but that's more dev time and stuff, because you might need different models, or you will need to make sure you've got all your pose and animation assets, you know, for a battle transition.
Yeah.
You know, all that
stuff.
Like
I said, keep it turn-based, just, you know, maybe add some systems or you know, streamline some stuff, because I've never beat 9, but I have played it. I loved how you would basically equip weapons long enough, and then you would learn their abilities, and as you leveled up, you would get more, I can't remember what they were, gems or whatever, so you can, like, slot more abilities at once. I loved that. But, even if we, don't turn it into action RPG, and even if we don't go, super ham on the graphics, the amount of confidence in FF9 is potentially too much for one game. Potentially. I also want to double down that if we go back to FF9 and do a remake, we would probably want to expand upon certain things in Legendary got it. And we want to expand upon certain concepts or stuff, or maybe clear up some things, give certain characters more screen time and whatnot. I
will say 9's in a really interesting space where this is a genuine thing I had to say a couple times. If I don't actually know what 9's density and style of story playing is. I have seen a couple of streamers or let's players start it. Hey, by the way, Chad, if you want to get it on PlayStation, I believe it is the digital edition is left PS Plus, but it is currently on sale for only $8.39 on the digital edition on PlayStation. No idea what Steam is doing, but I think they're also might be doing a Square Enix sale as well. But I've seen a couple people start it, but haven't really followed along. But the 9 was at the tail end of a console generation, so this was when Square's teams were at their maximum power level, dev-wise, right? They didn't have to learn new systems or shit. They were okay, we got it. Compare the 9 models to the 7 models. The 3D models in 7 are blocky as fuck. Those are their little Lego people.
Fuck.
9 is stylized, but properly little chibi models, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But if you expand that out, and this is the thing I was going to say is, I genuinely don't know, because I feel not enough people do talk about 9, but are there moments of mistranslationed, cut lines, cut story stuff. Like, because here's the thing. I know 7 pretty good. I don't want to say I'm a 7 expert, but I know 7 pretty good. I've, played it through the core, and I'm familiar with a lot of the optional content. I've played a decent chunk of the compilation games. FF7's full of that shit. Like, that game, despite how much fucking content there is, they still have shit that's cut for time. Arguably, Yuffie and Vincent stuff is, like, super pared down in the core game. And there's loads of like, dialogue errors because the script was translated by, like, 3 guys in a room with an Excel spreadsheet that was just every text box in the game, I don't hear a lot about 9, so I don't know if it has those problems. But that is definitely a kind of a thing that a remaster, could be like, okay, we got some cut content to bring back. Like, I don't think it would be as dense as 7. Part of the reason why the 7 remake is the way it is, well, one, as Lucky brought up earlier, Rebirth clearly shows us we are doing brand new content shit. Like, we are straight up adding stuff. Hell, even Remake did that, but most of that was concentrated in, like, the final chapters of like, actual brand new stuff. Though there were side stories that were also really good. But also, 7, like, I mean, they don't have to, but they kind of have to, like, either acknowledge or just straight up decanonize large aspects of the compilation. Like, there's a Deep Ground cameo and stuff in the Yuffie DLC and Remake and so on. There's, like, they're in a position where they either have to acknowledge there's a lot of extra writing that happened, or they have to just be like, yeah, we don't care so much about that anymore. And so it'll be really interesting to see. But 9 doesn't have that same issue where there wasn't this super expansive extra, world. And I'll like, talking about, like, PlayStation games, like, I'm pretty sure, because X got a sequel, so I'm pretty sure they wrapped up everything they wanted in X2. 12 technically got a sequel, but it was on the DS, and it was an RTS. And I think Revenant Wings does good things, but they thought about doing a console sequel. I would really like to see a return to ELIZAS, because, like, there's some really interesting stuff they did leave open-ended there. But I don't think we need, like, a remake for that. I think Zodiac Age does more than enough content-wise. But yeah, like I said, I don't know what 9 is like, so I can't, like, talk about, the story in depth. I know people who play it usually like it, but also I'm like, man, I don't know what like the level of like writing detail is, right? And like I said, this is the thing I did bring up, is that, and I had to say, is that Yoshi P doesn't phrase it as we're gonna lock in a 3-game series, right? He just said we might not be able to fit all the content that is in that game into one release, I believe is what he phrased it as, one product release, one singular game. And he did phrase it as might. So this is the thing I brought up. I'm pretty sure Square is, like, right now actively in, like, the pitch phase or the pre-pro phase of a 9 remake. Like, so many people are asking about it. And, I mean, obviously, the current 14 expansion is super, like, 9 heavy in references. I'm making my jokes about how in, 3 years when we release the final 7 game, that's when we're going to get the 14 X-Pack. It's going to be all 7 themed, baby. Give me the Genova 8-man. Sorry, I had a brief moment where I was just like, I'm just imagining what Soken would do with a Genova remix. God help us all. But yeah, like, so 9's on their brains, clearly, but I like, genuinely, like, I think they're working on it, but this is a question they do have to, like, ask themselves, because Square has a lot of releases that they're a little weird about, like, that are not necessarily hitting all the things they want to do, whether that's, like, heavy, like, release windows, or, like, not getting the hype they want. Like, they're getting better about how they phrase it. Like, I think it only recently was announced that, like, they said that, yeah, 16 and 7 Rebirth didn't hit our maximum, like, sales penetration yet. But obviously also those were doing through those were console exclusives. They made those in partnership with Sony on PlayStation. And we'll see. I do kind of feel like, despite a lot of controversy when it came out, right now anyway, I think I see a lot of positivity towards 16, where a lot of people are like, oh, hey, it's coming out on PC. Now, everybody can play it. Not everybody can play it. I'm sure that 16 is very computer intense. It's very juiced. Watch out. But, like, I have seen a lot of people, like, hyping it up, talking about how, like, oh, now everybody can enjoy these boss fights, because the boss fights are sick. But, yeah, it is definitely, one of those things where, I'm kind of curious about, like, how far they're gonna go, because they do have to make these decisions. And Square's a really big company. We talk about this all the time. Where like Square Enix is a developer, one of the few developers that has very solid like single and double A releases, but also a lot of those releases are not necessarily generating their money back right away, because some of it is marketing. Everybody knows, you ask a World Ends With You fan about like how Neo World's End With You is handled, and their version is usually it wasn't. They didn't handle it. They didn't market it. I think we talked about before about like how stuff like Harvestella may have been mismarketed because it wasn't really a farm sim. It was a classic Square JRPG that had farming on it. You know? I think their tactical games are usually a little better marketed. Like I think everybody knew straight up what they were getting into with Triangle Strategy and Deal Field and stuff. But they release a lot of games, But yeah, Patron Chat's talking about like dev times are like super expanded. Honestly, like the FF7 remake games are getting made in like a pretty fast pace. It was like a 4-year gap to remake to Rebirth, and it was only like 3 years after they actually fully closed up shop on remake, because Intergrade and the Yuffie DLC came out about a year later. And I think they've said that they're pretty sure they're on par for it to be another 3-ish year gap before we get to the third game, which I will still probably want to call Reunion until they say it's not called that. And it may still be called that. I don't know. Square can reuse a subtitle. They already used Reunion for the Crisis Core remaster, but they could do it again. Who cares? It'll be a third re-word. Or knowing Square, they could come up with some other crazy. Return's probably a little too unspiced after remake Rebirth. But, they could be like, Final Fantasy VII, Revivify, and I'll be like, yeah, sure, Square, whatever. Locking in my pre-order. But yeah, no, like, but they're saying, like, they're only going to take another, like, 3 years to do that. And I'm like, that sounds a little crazy considering how long they were working on the remake project. But, I guess if you build the tech base, it's faster. This was something that, I think it was the FromSoft devs said they were, it was, Ryuga. They were like, yeah, it's crazy how every game franchise these days is basically remaking themselves every single time they do a new title. And yeah, no, they have a lot of like, they reuse a lot of the same engine, they reuse assets where possible, and those guys just vibe that they can fucking produce, a game a year if they feel like it. I am kind of curious why. I think it's because he did say that he would want 9 to be a game to get a remake treatment, but I am kind of curious why people keep asking Yoshi P about it, because he didn't work on 9 at all. He's been at Square a while, but like he mostly worked on Dragon Quest games until like I think FF14.
I think it's because people have the idea that Yoshi P will not fuck them in a remake.
That is probably true. And like I said, I'm pretty sure he did say when asked what game would you want to remake, he said he would want to do 9. I don't know if that would still make him like the what you call it, like the fulcrum point, the focus point. I personally I think that the guys at CBU3, or actually just Creative Studio 3 now, like they have enough of a pedigree. Like obviously I really enjoy Final Fantasy 14, and obviously like I think Dawn Trail's a little bit of a rough patch at launch, but we will see how those patches like backfill it for a couple of years.
Specifically, FF12 has a lot of tactics and 12 influences, but Yoshi P has gone on to say that Final Fantasy XIV is to be a Final Fantasy theme park, so it draws a lot of influence and inspirations from all titles. But a lot of the OG team worked on 12 and tactics, which is why you see a lot of that stuff.
Yeah. A lot of those guys at the head got their start at all the way back at Vagrant Story, actually, and just kept that going. So they did FFT, they did 12, they did some of those spin-offs before they became the team. There were decent number of homages to 11, and like I said, there's a lot of 12 DNA, but like I would say that like the FF9 influence wasn't until this most recent X-Pack. And then there's a lot of like different ones, like I would say that, like, honestly, you want to talk about like the biggest influence base level, like AAR and even, 1.0 before that, probably you should say there's a lot of 6, because there's a very heavy emphasis on the summons, and also Garlemald is just the Empire from 6, basically, when they start. Like, they get more detail later, but they're straight up using the same Magitech armors from 6, So, like, there's a lot of that overlap. But they kind of, like, weave in and out of their references. Like, there was a lot of references to 4 in Endwalker, with, like, all the moon shit and stuff, and then some very direct 4 references in later parts. Lucky and I, when we talk about the live letter, we really talked about the Savage version of Cloud of Darkness. She is multiple fights in 14. Like, she's the climax boss. The Cloud of Darkness is the climax boss of the first raid series, and also shows up in a later raid series, an Alliance raid versus normal raid. Speaking of which, the normal raids from Shadowbringers are they're called Eden. There are super about 8. So yeah, no, like there's as Lucky said, Naoki Yoshida Yoshipi has said that they're treating 14 as kind of like a theme park for all Final Fantasy games. It's just that they take their influences, and I feel like certain X-Packs are more influenced than by callbacks than others. This is why I joke that, like, the X-Pack, the next X-Pack we get, the one in like probably like 2 or 3 years, is gonna be the one that's gonna have all the 7 references. Because I do feel like, other than this is a fun fact I love to rattle off, so that people at home may have heard of it before, but the Guard Scorpion asset that is used in FF7 Remake is actually from 14. Because they built a like HD version of the Guard Scorpion as just a like mob and boss in Stormblood, and just they had that lying around. Oh, you haven't heard that before? Yeah, no. That's from 14. They used it in Stormblood, and then when they were doing the remake, they were just like, hey, do we have any HD versions of this guy lying around? And the 14 was just like, yo. So like there are a few 7 references, but like it's not as on the nose, right, as like all the others. I still don't know to this day. Is actually the Fiend, raid, the like Sephiroth trial, is that actually supposed to be a 7 reference, or is that just higher up in the references in Final Fantasy?
Wait, which Fiends?
The Triad trial for Sephiroth.
Oh no, that's 6. That's fucking
Yeah.
Kefka and the Warring Triad.
Yeah, like I was like, I'm pretty sure that's the Warring Triad. Yeah, so like Sephiroth is not actually in this at all. There's no Genova yet, though. Like I said, Endwalker gives them some very open abilities to actually just straight up do the Calamity from the Stars. Like that could just straight up be an X-Pack plot, So like, I'm trying to think, like what would I think of as the like famous fights of 7? There are a couple of semi-unique summons, but we have gotten some Bahamut alternates, which is fine.
I mean, we gotta do Airbuster.
I mean, Airbuster would be a really good guy to go, especially after, like, the original Airbuster is a fucking nothing fight in 7. It's just, like, a funny little guy. You're usually grossly overleveled. The Airbuster fight in the remake is, like, super over the top, and I love it. But yeah, like, Airbuster is probably a pretty good one. I think the Materia Keeper is like a pretty iconic guy because he's so gribbly. But the main ones would be like Sephiroth, Genova.
We got the weapons already, so
yeah, they did do the weapons. That was a great callback as well. That was also actually no, that was Shadowbringers Trials were the weapons.
Yes.
And I do appreciate that they also made the weapons a fucking also like their designs were already influenced by Gundams. So they just straight up made it a mecha plotline. That's great. But, like, there's no Sephiroth, there's no Rufus analogy, no Shinra Electric Power Company. Don't know how you do that anyway. Like, oh, God. I mean, that would probably be pretty good to just hit up your G and S types as well. Honestly, like, they're kind of bozos, but, like, the Sviets, the color unit from Dirge of Cerberus, those guys are perfect for, like, for like a trial or dungeon series like they did the Four Fiends in Endwalker. Like those guys could easily be a bunch of just a bunch of boss fights you do, ending on Vice the Immaculate, of course. But like, yeah, no, there are homages to 7, but they have not been nearly as heavy a plot crib as others do. And I think I've said this before. I'm pretty sure that's because we are actively developing the remake games. But we could get a big old tie-in, which could be very funny. I'm trying to think, like, what would I want out of 14 for like a Sephiroth fight? Because like, obviously you could do, you know, a normal raid series, and you could do a Safer Sephiroth or Bizarro Sephiroth cameo, just like you can do a fight with, you know, Kefka and a lot of big guys.
I think I would like 7 as probably as a raid series. The more I think about it, something not directly connected to the plot,
but having its own little self-contained plot.
Yeah. Like I said, like kind of in the way that the Nier collabs worked. Like for example, we get to our next expansion and we get to travel to another reflection. Let's say we go to the 7th reflection and whatnot, and we see, like, you know, the ruins of an ancient city that, you know, existed a long fucking time ago. Maybe it had a name like, you know, Midgar, and then, you know, in the course of a raid series, you go to investigate it, and you are, you know, I don't know, maybe the live stream comes up and slaps you a bit, and you are transported into an ancient fight from a long time ago, and have to relive it or something.
Yeah.
Yes, a pool of live stream just, you know, rears its hand up and just slaps you into a fight.
Yeah, that would work probably. And if it was a raid series, either as Alliance raids or as normal raids, that means you could have multiple fights, so you could just be like, well, yeah, here's Sephiroth normal, and here's Sephiroth big.
Well, no, that's when you're gonna have those savages, you know?
That's also true. God knows over the years, Sephiroth, both big and on foot, has more than enough mechanics. You know, the what is it, like Hell's Gate is his drop attack. He could do that as the fucking you know, the tank buster. We could have some Heartless Angel fun for heal checks, because Kefka already does that shit, because Kefka did Heartless Angel first. His big cutscene attack that you gotta fucking get ready for the DPS check would be, you know, the fucking solar system move, Supernova, all that shit. Octo Slashes, the works, the fire pillars. Just fucking hucking meteors at you as AoE markers. Like, nah, like, we got plenty of stuff. And like I said, that means you could get, you know, yet another remix of One Wing Angel in the game. Honestly, I think the fights that would probably be more interesting would be, like, I'd love to see what the 14 team does with Jenova. Because there's multiple Jenova forms, and they have, like, different elemental alignments and stuff. And there's a lot of, like, weird shit, you know, with Jenova in the background. Like,
oh man, what if... I think that'd be a great story. Like, what if the Calamity from the 7th wasn't one that the Ascians actually did? It was something completely fucking different, and the Ascians were just like, okay!
Well, guess what? This space shit fucked up the etheric balance. We can use this.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Calamity, I mean, she's literally called the Calamity from the stars, so it works really well.
Yeah.
And, like, yeah, no, I'm just thinking... Because there's so many different forms of Genoma and so much different weirdness. There's so much you could do with that, of just, like, the mechanics. Like, I'm thinking of, like, the final story dungeon in Endwalker, like the first segment, the Pestilence section.
Mm-hmm.
Genova's perfect for some of that shit to come back. There's all kinds of other weird mind shit, you know, you could do. She could hit you with all of her favorite, you know, water and fire and lightning moves.
Show her your moves.
No, I mean, there's also space shit in 14. That's why I said, like, I feel like 14's got perfect tie-ins to just, you know, reuse that stuff. Like, I joked earlier about the Shinra Electric Power Company. That should just be a plot line from when we rebuild Garlemald.
Yeah, I can actually see that.
Rufus should just be a Garlean. That's fine, you know? God knows those guys did enough super soldier experiments, but you know, in just make it about, you know, ceruleum. They already, we know for a fact the Garleans have cars and trains and shit. But yeah, anyway, the other thing because that was a side brought on my chat. The other big thing I wanted to mention for now. Let's see, yeah, we've gone for over 2 hours. So the only other thing I had in my notes to bring up right away was Golden Joystick Awards nominees are up. You can vote on them. I posted it in our games chat earlier. I will also link it again in the patron zone. I've already gone through and voted, but we got some stuff.
Let me take a peek here.
Got some interesting ones. I am a little sad that in some of their categories, that FF14's isn't getting love.
I will be right back again. Hang on.
Okay, I'm gonna be right back. I'll pause it up. He's back.
I'm back.
But yeah, golden joysticks. Fairly long running. Posted on Games Radar. Like I said before, little disappointed there's not a lot of Final Fantasy 14 love on here, but I'm sure that 14 will show up again in the Game Awards.
Probably just get nominations.
Yeah, but we do got some categories here. They got a best storytelling. Their nominees are Like a Dragon: Infinite Wealth, Tactical Breach Wizards, 1000 Times Resist. Never heard of that game.
I have. I heard it's pretty good.
Okay. I mean, it's nominated, so I would hope so. But yeah, I don't think I've seen it before. Emio the Smiling Man from Famicom Detective Club, which is very interesting. FF7 Rebirth and Lorelei and the Laser Eyes.
I heard that one's also really good.
Yeah, so I voted Rebirth on this, but solid games in the story selection. Best multiplayer game, Abiotic Factor. I don't know what that is, but it looks like the multiplayer Half-Life thing. The Finals is on here actually. Good for them. Sons of the Forest, Tekken 8, EA Sports College Football 25, and Helldivers 2. I went to Helldivers 2 obviously, but yeah, they got some stuff. Best visual design. One of these is a little bit cheating, but I guess there is a demo out. But they've already, for Best Visual Design, already nominated Metaphor ReFantazio.
I think that is cheating.
It does have a demo you can play for like 8 hours, but the game isn't out yet, so it's kind of weird. I don't know what the cutoff point they have for this. I mean, I think they've got a lot of visual design going on in it, but it's, like I said, it's a little weird. Harold Halibut, which looks very stylized. Hellblade 2, Space Marine 2, Astrobot, and Black Myth Wukong. For best visual design, like Astrobot's really up there, but I think all of these are pretty solid nominees. Other than, like I said, I think, even though I do think Metaphor looks good, I think it's a little cheating. I do like that they have 2 categories for best indie. The first one is just best indie, and then the next is best self-published. So, like, in their just best indie, they've got, Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, which is published by Annapurna, but was developed by Simogo. Thank Goodness You're Here. Plucky Squire's got a nomination here. Indica Arco, which I don't think I've ever seen before, but looks good. Animal Well, Ulthros, Conscript, Balatro, and Beyond Galaxyland got a lot of nominees for indie. Thank Goodness You're Here's I've seen some people play it. It's a pretty good game. It's like kind of like an old school adventure game, with like talk to people and solve puzzles, but it's painfully British. And has a lot of funny gimmicks you can do. For best self-published indie, they've nominated Arctic Eggs, which I believe is a simulator where you just try to cook eggs in the Arctic. It's pretty straightforward. Tiny Glade, UFO 50, Little Kitty Big City, Crow Country, which is that's another game I've seen recommended very heartily. It's a PS1 retro clone of like old school horror games, and I think it's turn-based too. I Am Your Beast, Duck Detective: The Secret Salami. I've seen some people play that as well. That's another classic walking and talking adventure game. Riven, don't know anything about that. And Tactical Breach Wizards, also on here again, and Another Crab's Treasure by developer Aggro Crab. That's the Crab Souls-like. Let's see. Still Playing, which is their category for games you're still playing. For PC and console, they've nominated EA Sports Football Club, Minecraft, Apex Legends, Dota 2, Counter-Strike 2, Fortnite, Rainbow Six Siege, Valorant, GTA Online, Naraka Breakpoint, and Roblox.
Okay, I'm very surprised that 14's not on there. What the fuck?
Oh, and also, sorry, I've got this in incomplete. Warframe is also nominated.
Weird.
Yeah, I do kind of think that I don't know if it's because of like the X-Pack model, like WoW's not on here either, which is a little weird because I believe that the most recent WoW actually I don't know if they've actually launched their newest X-Pack, but like I want to say like last year WoW had a good X-Pack and then they've only once again fallen in the pit after the next one, but like a little odd. So I don't know, but it's on PC and console. But hey, Warframe's not nominated.
I have some thoughts about Warframe recently, and I'm not sure if it should be nominated for the best ongoing game now.
Well, it does say at least it's still playing, and at the very least
true.
you are still playing.
Yeah, at the very least, yeah. People are still playing Warframe, but maybe not for the best reasons.
Still playing mobile, which is also, this is going to be another weird one, because there's at least one Hoyoverse game in here, which again, I've heard some people do actually get some of their later games, like I think Star Rail is supposed to be more optimized, but I don't know a lot of people playing them on mobile. But they nominated Sims Mobile, Call of Duty Warzone Mobile, Monopoly Go, which I see ads for all the time, Marvel Snap, PUBG Mobile, Squad Busters, which is that Supercell like Clash of Clans game that they advertised a lot. Mini Motorways, that looks cute. Subway Surfers, Honkai Star Rail, Roblox, and Free Fire, and also Star Wars Hunters. Yeah, I feel like Star Rail's cheating on that a little, even if it does run better on mobile. But this is the question I think we have every time there's a fucking like awards category where a Hoyoverse game shows up, where it's like, I don't know, it kind of feels like we're cheating. Let's see, Studio of the Year, 11-Bit Studios, which is Frostpunk, Capcom, Team Asobi, Digital Eclipse. Don't know what they are pulling from. Sorry, they're killing me with this interface. I tried to click for more detail. They got a little video that explains it all. Let's see, Visual Concept is 2K and Arrowhead Game Studios. I mean, Arrowhead's done a lot to try and win back the fan base, but I would still probably go for Team Asobi. I feel like they need the dub. ZZZ is another one where I'm like, can you play that on mobile?
Probably.
I mean, I'm sure you can download it. I'm just wondering if it's feasible. But that, I do kind of feel like that's in an odd space because, like, the Golden Joystick doesn't have, like the Game Awards, like, breakdown categories. Like, I don't think they do by genre. I don't know if Zenless probably shouldn't win a Best Narrative award, like Best Story. And there's not like a Best Action Game category, so I guess it hasn't even been out a full year, so I don't think it qualifies for still playing. But it is kind of odd to see it kind of left out. But they got a Best Expansion. Options there are Shadow of the Erd Tree, Destiny 2 Final Shape, the Alan Wake 2 Expansion Pass. Actually, yeah, no, it is weird that WoW is on there, because they skipped that as well. WoW World Within's nominated. Diablo 4 and God of War Ragnarok Valhalla. Again, Dawn Trail not on here. Obviously, it was a little controversial, but it is odd to me that a WoW X-Pack is on here, which, again, I do not know if people liked War Within. Dawn Trail's not on here. Also, again, they're nominating this fucking Diablo 4 X-Pack, which, bullshit. Games Radar, does Blizzard pay you money? Are you allowed to admit to me that Blizzard pays you money? Best Audio Design, you've got Hellblade 2, Astrobot, Star Wars Outlaws, Still Wakes of the Deep, Balatro, and Robobeat. Kind of a small package here. For Best Soundtrack, they've nominated Silent Hill 2, Shin Megami Tensei 5, Vengeance, specifically, the Vengeance version, Astrobot, Haunty, haven't heard of that game, A Highland Song, and FF7 Rebirth, which is obviously where I'm putting my money. It's a fucking killer soundtrack. Not even available, fully anywhere yet, but crazy good.
They didn't put Stellar Blade soundtrack on it? What?
Yeah, no, I did not. I don't think Stellar Blade has any noms from Golden Joystick. Like I said, I don't...
Wow.
I feel like the reason why the Golden Joysticks don't get as much hype as, like, the Game Awards, they're pretty compact, and it's all, like, I think it's all, like, fan voting. They've only got, like, 19 categories, and they're all, like I said, very, like, generalized. Like I said, I don't think Stellar Blade has any noms. Zenless doesn't have any noms as far as I know, and, like, we both dropped Zenless Zone Zero, but people are playing it and talking about it, like, it probably deserves to be in the conversation. They've got Best Lead Performer, so, they've got the actress for the main character Star Wars Outlaws. They've got Cody Christian for Cloud Strife and Rebirth. The actor playing James Sunderland in Silent Hill 2. Tachi Tang for Ichiban Kasuga. A character from, I assume the main character, but maybe not, from Asgard's Wrath 2. And the actress for Senua from Hellblade 2. I haven't seen a lot of these performances, but I'm going to go Cody Christian because he's fucking killing it as Cloud. But there's a lot of room here. And then they got Best Supporting Performer. This one also shocked me. They've got fucking Deborah Wilson for Amanda Waller from Suicide Squad on here. You okay, Golden Joystick?
I don't think so.
But they do also have Igus from P3 Reload on here. And also nominated Brianna White, who plays Aerith in Rebirth as well, which was my fucking vote. Also, she's killing it there. Was it well received? I can't tell with WoW people, but sure. If it was well received, I guess that does. Like I said, even ourselves, we had some nitpicks or even some bigger bones to pick with Dawn Trail. So like, but still, like I was before it actually came out, it was pretty hype, and we're all still playing it. And they also got like actors from like again, Hellblade 2, Thank Goodness You're Here, and Still Wake the Deep. PC Game of the Year, nominating UFO 50, Frostpunk 2, Animal Well, Tactical Breach Wizards, again, this is why I said in our chat, man, I gotta play Tactical Breach Wizards. This game, like, came out, like, last month and has a shitload of nominations. Satisfactory, which I assume must have gotten, like, a 1.0 in the review window, because it's been in, like, early access for a while. Heard good things, though. If you don't know, Satisfactory is, I think it's kind of in a genre like a 3D Factorio, but I don't think it's quite as fucking insane as Factorio. But
I've
it
seen
is
a couple of videos of Factorio, and I'm all like, bruh.
Yeah. Satisfactory is a like space automation survival game, but like I said, I don't think it's as crazy as Factorio is. It's just like a little more straightforward. And the last nom is Balatro. Console Game of the Year. Interesting that some of these are not exclusive, but they've nominated Echoes of Wisdom, Dragon's Dogma 2, FF7 Rebirth, Astrobot, Helldivers 2, and Prince of Persia Lost Crown. Notice, by the way, despite the nominations for like acting performances and look, Hellblade 2 is not in this list for best console game. And in fact, I don't think any Xbox exclusive console games are. It's an Ubisoft Dragon's Dogma 2, which was available on Xbox, I'm pretty sure. And then they've got one Ninty game, and then it's all PlayStation, baby. That is a good way to put it, Chris Starlight. I think I would probably agree. Like there probably have been some gameplay questions, but the story is actually good, which is a hard sell. 14 is definitely like I think a decent number of people were not satisfied by the story conclusions in Dawn Trail. But the gameplay is killer. Best early access, Hades 2, Deep Rock Galactic Survivor, which I think is a side game, Enshrouded, Pal World, which I guess that was technically in beta, or did start in early access, Lethal Company, and Manor Lords. I haven't played it, but I put down for Hades 2 because that game's gonna be great. Best gaming hardware is odd. It's like gaming laptops and Steam Decks and a controller. Though they did also put the NVIDIA RTX 4070 in here. Best game trailers, I think that was pretty good. They put the Helldivers 2 launch trailer, which is the opening cinematic to the game, Caravan Sandwich launch trailer, Kingmaker's official announcement trailer, Plucky Squire launch trailer, the Sid Meier 7 narrator reveal trailer with Gwendolyn Christie. But I voted for their last nominee here, the Death Stranding 2 State of Play announcement trailer. Because, I mean, listen, Hideo Kojima knows how to cut trailers, okay? I don't think many of us were ready for that one. That's the one where you get the fucking robot with a katana fighting, Higgs with a guitar that's also literally an axe. Most wanted game, Hollow Knight Silksong, Exodus, which I don't know anything about, but it's being published by Wizards of the Coast. That's weird. Slay the Spire 2, Doom Dark Ages, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, Assassin's Creed Shadows, Skate, Mafia: The Old Country, Clair Obscur Expedition 33, that's that turn-based game coming out of France, Atom Fall, which I know the name and I know the look, but I don't remember a lot about, Deadlock, which is very funny because that's technically in closed beta, but it's super like open-ended, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, the Fabled reboot, South of Midnight, Grand Theft Auto 6, Sid Meier's Civilization 7, Light No Fire, and then this is actually I do like this way they categorize this. They've also got awards that you can pick 3 of and rank them. So they're at the bottom of the list because that's the ones I did pick to vote on. Ghosts of Yote, Monster Hunter Wilds, Death Stranding 2. So like again, big zingers. Light No Fire though did look pretty cool. And then what's our last category? Or is that it? Yeah, that's it. So yeah, like I said, relatively small number of awards, pretty narrow. There's some interesting missing slots in there. I guess we'll see what the results are. But yeah. But before we wrap up too hard, because I did eat dinner early so we could get started on this early, and I do want to try and get this thing like wrapped and posted everywhere relatively soon. I did want to ask if there's any anime and stuff you're watching, Lucky. I know you've been trying to catch up on your anime.
So it has already been going around on Twitter, but as we said, but I do want to shout out Dandadan. The first episode just premiered. What was it? Thursday? I want to say
it's definitely sometime this week.
There's definitely sometime this week, and I am a fan of the manga. I'm like, I'm currently caught up on it, waiting for the next bit. And Dandadan is a series that I really like because it always has a sense of progression. Like, I do think there is a big problem in a lot of media nowadays where you have a story and you just kind of keep circling the same story as you just put in the weeks. Dandadan doesn't do that. It always seems to be moving forward. Things change, go for forwards. When you have an objective, you are moving towards said objective, and you will get there in a kind of ridiculous way. Dandadan thrives on being ridiculous, and the fact that they got Science Saru to do it only makes it better. Science Saru does have some very unique animations, and they do bring that to Dandadan. So it is a visual and narrative treat. So if you have not tried it, I would heartily recommend it. Because it is very shonen, very action-oriented, but at the heart of it, it's a love story. So,
yeah, I was going to segue into that if you didn't naturally bring it up, but I'm glad you did. Because I've seen a few clips of it online since it debuted, and it looks both beautiful and also very interesting.
Nah, it's unhinged. It's literally unhinged.
Yeah, that's also a word I would use to describe some of the clips I've seen.
But no, like, even if you don't necessarily want to read the manga, because the manga has like 163 chapters out, and it will take you a minute to get through. At least give the first episode a try. It's actually, now that I think about it, it gives me Fooly Cooly vibes. Like, I didn't think about it, but just thinking about it, it's Fooly Cooly. It's a modern Fooly Cooly.
I will say it is funny you say that, because there was one of the clips I did see, which was just, I think, the male and female lead like standing on like a highway on a mountainside, and I'm just like, man, this gives me like Fooly Cooly vibes, just standing here, talking, and then weird shit starts happening.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's ever like, shit gets weird, like, gets really weird. But now that I've said that, like, I really want to double down on that Don is just fucking modern Fooly Cooly.
Well, it's got an episode out. Maybe I'll check. I think it's on.
It's on
several
Crunchyroll
places actually, but
I watch it on Crunchyroll.
I could probably grab it there. Crunchyroll, I still pay my subscription. I had to suspend my Hulu subscription because I need to fucking figure out Disney's ungodly bundles, because they keep raising the price on both that and the Disney Plus, both of which do like have good shit I'm interested in, but is expensive. But yes, I still pay Crunchyroll to let me watch anime when I feel like it. Which I don't know if I watch enough anime to necessarily be worth the amount that's spending, but when we feel like it, man, we can watch a lot of anime. Yeah. Anything else in that sphere though?
Not quite yet. I did start watching Wand and Sword with Storia. Where's the Sword and Wand? I can't remember. But that was like last week, and it has some really good animation. But other than that, no, not really. Like I said, Lucky is still floating in the in-between here.
Yeah. Now, while I wouldn't mind picking Lucky and Chat's brain about space trucker stuff, which has been my on-again, off-again obsession of just writing about space, I also, I think I mentioned this on mic earlier, but it might have been in the interregnum while Lucky was away. I did eat dinner earlier to get this episode started recording as soon as possible, and we've been going for over 2.5 hours, and I'm a little hungry. I could use a little snacky, so my stomach, I'm sure, would distract me if I talked at length, but I like thinking about space.
I'm always surprised how you always have to eat something like every few hours. I find that weird.
It's probably because I don't usually eat like really big meals. Like, for dinner, I had a, cup ramen and some, grilled chicken that we have frozen. And, I ate it several hours ago, and I'm like, I'm kind of hungry. I also usually only eat 2 meals a day. I eat a breakfast and a dinner. I don't really like lunch. So it catches up with me. Not all the time. Sometimes I am, very full. Sometimes we do get big meals. But I've always been kind of a light eater, a light snacker. Like, I don't think I could physically consume an entire pizza in one sitting. I'm pretty sure I would have to be very hungry to try. But I'll divide that up into slices and eat it later. But yeah, like I said, I'm sure even if itchy nose. I could, as always, talk at length, but my tummy would distract me, and I don't know if, like, I saw Loth up and posting something earlier, so I don't know if he's about. I don't know if we can get the gang together for stuff.
Loth is with family this weekend, I believe.
Okay, that's fair then. Aaron's away, so he's probably doing something else. It's okay. I'll go back in the hole of writing then. I'll write more writing. I'll probably play more TCG Card Sharp Simulator. That's a game that I usually I am not on top of some of these games, but I've been seeing that like on Twitter a lot, and seeing a lot of people streaming it. I think I even mentioned it to some people in our Discord and got them hooked on it. People posting their fucking fat rips. So that's probably what I'll do after we're done recording. I'll read it through and get that other stuff. But yeah, anything else you want to bring up, Leggy?
Let's see here. Warframe started a new event. Well, not necessarily a new event, but they introduced a new mission type?
A new thing.
New things, and I've started, like, actually having this, like, concern about Warframe's game design. Like, because I play Warframe. I've been playing Warframe on and off for like 10 effing years. So I've seen a lot of things, and I'm starting to think that people don't necessarily play Warframe for fun necessarily. I'm starting to feel that people play Warframe out of the sense of obligation. I think people, like a lot of people, might be playing a game out of a sense of obligation rather than fun. Like, if I see a person running top speed, like just using giant AoE weapons just to blow things so they can reach an objective 5 seconds faster, I'm like, are you actually playing this game, or are you just like trying to complete a fucking checklist so you can move on to the next one on your checklist and complete that as quick as possible? I'm seeing people playing games. I'm like, I feel like you're playing this game more as like, a set of chores than, for fun. Like me, when I play Warframe, I'm usually not going as fast as I can. I'm usually like taking my time, looking at the scenery, laughing at weird things that happen and stuff like that. And like, if I am not like on the ball with killing things, even if I'm not dying, because I am a Rhino main and Warframe, I get big super armor and just ignore damage for a while. But if I am not on my ball killing things, even if I am like mid battle, mid fight, I'm fighting a dozen dudes, taking them down, someone will just come up, either use like a big AoE and a big AoE ability, blow everything up, and then dash away as fast as they can to go to the next group. I'm like, why? Why are you trying to complete this so fast? And I'm just like been thinking about this. Like, I feel like this is like a lot of the way that people play in a lot of like, like necessarily like live service or, subscription types games of where like, I don't feel like people are playing this game to have a fun time, but they are playing because they want to complete a list of objectives and maybe get the dopamine hit from doing that. I'm like, I'm not sure that's necessarily what fun is supposed to be. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you do get your dopamine, you're probably having fun, I guess, on some level. But yeah, there are definitely lots of games that do feel like that, and people play in that way. And I've played games like that before, but I try to get out of that mindset.
Because like when you think about like the Warframe meta is basically you use weapons and frames that lets you do like either big AoE so you can do room clears, or has like big just like big AoE, like things so you can move fast, hit fast, and just move on to your next objective. Like all meta, like this is what I've realized. All meta builds and comps are not necessarily for, how like, forget it's for how it's to make you complete the objective as fast as humanly possible. It's like what is the shortest route between you and victory? And I'm just like, why do we have to take a short route? Why do we have to take the shortest route? It's like, I'm already playing a video game. Like, if we want to be like actual factual about this, there are way better things I could be doing to be spending my time on. And like, I play video games to, de-stress. If I am like I don't know if I'm like called de-stressful if I am treating playing video games like getting a chore done, if I'm gonna be real. Like, I don't know. And like, Warframe seems to just encourage this mindset of just like, go fast, be done. And especially with like how they handle events, because God, like I swear, like it's like I haven't fully formed these thoughts in my head, because it's only something that I've made like the realization like in the past week. And so I haven't had necessarily the time to just sit down and drill it all out. But like, when I play a game, I want it to be fun. I don't want it necessarily to be a chore. I don't want to have to be a chore where I have to figure out the absolute fastest way to get it done in order to, progress. And I feel like Warframe has definitely like encapsulated that feeling of like, you go super fast, get the objective done, you go to the next objective. You get that done super fast, you go to the next objective. Like, I've seen people like just straight up just quit fucking missions because like people weren't running like optimal shit. They just want to get in, get out, and if you like deign to like slow down their max deeps or their max times or their times maxing, like, you have affronted them. I'm just like, is this the end state of video gaming? Just going as fast as you can, not marking off checks on a list. Like, I don't know, man. It's like, honestly, this has been harsh on my buzz for like the last week, and I don't know what to do about it.
Ah, yes, the existential dread. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think list maxing is a form of gameplay. And I agree. Like, I don't want the game to reach a state where I feel like it's my job, man. To keep logging in and doing all this stuff. And I definitely think that there are going to be tryhards no matter what. But it does make me curious, like you say, about, like, is this where everyone is going? Because Warframe has been around a long fucking time. I feel like some of the way they do their game design has to be because they're trying to, like, figure out the best way to retain players, encourage return players, and, possibly even entice new players.
Yes, it is true, but at the same time, like, the problem that Warframe does is they keep coming out with new stuff and then abandoning old stuff. Like, there's been plenty of events out there that they haven't rerun because they're old and no one actually plays the game modes they are. They have not put in a solid enough integration between these of the current game and events to, like, rerun content. So once a event is done, it's over. It's gone. You're never coming back. My profile in Warframe has all the events listed, and so many of them that just have like zeros at them because I was not at that time to play it. So I have this big FOMO going out of like, well, I guess I will never like have whatever was in there because usually what they like to do is they'll bring back like the rewards, and they have it in other ways, but you have no idea where those planes will be. Like every 2 weeks, they have a special bundle called Barrow Katir show up at a relay that you can like buy special things. You have no idea what he's gonna have there anytime. They have their Knights of Nibiru's going on right now. Sometimes it has certain items, other times it doesn't. Like this year, I was really hoping to get the infested Zaw weapons in there. Didn't show up, so I now have to go another year without doing them, which sucks because those infested Zaw weapons give me mastery rank points that lets me, level up my mastery rank, but I can't get them because they're a thing of we show up whenever the fuck we want. So it's like. And people are saying that Digital Extremes can't take the time to implement these things because if they don't, people fucking leave and they lose money. And so I'm like, so as Digital Extremes is trapped in this cycle of they have to keep doing new things and abandoning it just to keep people playing their game? That doesn't actually sound like good game design.
I mean, no, that does not sound healthy, but that may be where they're at, or it may not. It's one of those things of like, with ongoing games, it can be very troublesome to get stuff in, and like, yeah, I mean that is indeed how WoW does stuff of just like they introduce a bunch of new shit in the X pack, and then usually it doesn't matter when they get to the next X pack.
Like, with Quest and stuff, like if you weren't there for the Quest event, you have no idea what was going on. Like when I came back in, there's this new mission model called Orphix. Apparently, this was a whole event that had to do with railjacks and, doing stuff. I got into this game mode. I have no idea what it is. I have no idea why I got here. I have no idea what to do. I had to kind of figure out through osmosis. And I'm just like, there has to be a better way.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely like the kind of thing where like, I'll say this for a lot of like heavy content games like that. Like usually when they do something that could be considered a story or a new content type drop, that's usually like a permanent update. Like,
well, and that's the thing. They are permanent updates. You can go do these Orphic missions and the thing, but again, there was no introduction to them. The introduction was the event that they don't rerun, and that they don't rerun. And I'm just like, no, there has to be better. There should be proper event story integration into this. And they don't do it because they don't have the time or they don't have the inclination because they have to keep pumping out new things to keep the players invested so they don't freaking leave.
I mean, I don't actually know what their numbers are like, so I don't know if they truly have this problem with leaving. But I mean, we just talked about the golden joysticks. They've got a fucking nomination up there. Like I feel like generally people have more positive experiences towards Warframe. I would hope that they could like buy a little cachet to do some stuff, but. Yeah, I don't know. That's interesting, and is a little like the fact that on your profile they put the events your event prog that you couldn't complete if you weren't playing is like.
Yeah, actually, I need to log into frickin' Warframe, but let me show you.
Like are like to me, I'm like, are these guys trying to shame me for not having been playing during these events? I'm not about that. I don't want to be shamed.
Yeah, no. Every time I see it, I feel shame. Hence, I don't usually like looking at it. But let me open it up. I will show you what I mean. I need to do my weekly war. I need to get my Warframe. It doesn't, yeah, especially if like you're gonna go right and stuff. I'll probably just play Warframe.
Oh yeah, like I said, Loth's out, and I think Aaron's out right now because he's not active on Discord, and he hasn't been like. I think he hasn't been in the patron call, so he may be working. He's waiting until tomorrow to do it. The reins.
Through the reins. I'm so embarrassed about my fucking roleplay. I hate me.
You're all right.
Yeah, not alright.
Well, you may not be all right, but I think your scene was fine. It was great.
Let's see here. Logging in. Oh, hey, I got a 50% off coupon, though. I'm going to have to go use that later. Waiting for that 75% off. All right. Profile. My profile. That'd be lucky. Let's see here. Stats. There it is. Let me just grab this here. Yoink. If people want to. Like, as you can see, there's several operations that I have been part of, and then several that I have not. And they're just big fat zeros.
Even the one of these, like, they gave you it was scored on time, so it's 0. I'm like, oh my god, just don't do that. Don't summarize that. Yes,
You
no,
see?
like, chat's instantly like, no. No, I agree. This would bug the shit out of me.
And again, they don't rerun the events. They haven't, like, integrated the events well into things. Because
I want to bring this up, by the way. You've got big fat zeros in a couple of these. But also, your playtime is displayed in this screenshot. You have over 1,000 hours. You have over 1,100 hours in this game, which is, crazy high. I have heard some arguments from some people be like, talking about like, oh, 1,000 hours is nothing, and you're not an expert at some games that are long. Even if they haven't touched on certain content, because some games are so fucking content dense, 1,000 hours is still really good.
No, 1,000 hours is enough to learn a fucking skill. Don't discount your 1,000 hours.
Like the like commonly accepted cutoff for becoming a master at something is 10,000 hours. If you're a tenth of the way, you've put a tenth of that time into a game, maybe you might not be a master. We can consider you know what you're doing. You're not a newbie. Those are not newbie numbers. Anyway, but yeah, no, the zeroification bothers me. I would want those to be like discounted somehow, because those are just going to be there forever. This list is going to keep getting longer. In fact, at some point, this list is going to be unusable because you're going to have too many events to scroll through. So yeah, I don't. That is one of those things that I'm like, man, I don't know what they do about that. Like, ideally I would just start like, and again, I don't know what their tech is like and shit, but like, honestly, I think this is why a lot of games do reruns and callbacks. You've already made that event, right? You've done all the work. So, like, unless they're boxed into some, like, legal disclaimer where they're just like, nah, we can't rerun it, which can happen because, like, legal disclaimers over limited time content are very weird. But, like, I would think that they would be giving themselves buffer time to work on old shit by just rerunning shit. But again, I don't know their process. I don't know what their back end is like. But, yeah, it's odd.
Yeah, but like I said, that's been on my brain for a little bit, because like I said, I have gone back into Warframe, and I've been seeing other people, like, I've seen everyone else running around playing, and I'm just like, bleh?
Do I still like this? Yeah.
I'd still like the gameplay loop, but, like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Anyway, that's it for me. Just my last thought. It's all like, what is game design? What makes game design good? What is the gameplay loop? What is meta? These are lucky 3 a.m. thoughts.
As you do.
Mm-hmm.
Well, hey, if anybody at home, because like you said, we've got a decent number of people who either actively play Warframe or the burden of many people, you mention Warframe and 4 people wake up and like, I'm going to reinstall Warframe. We got a few of those running around, so if y'all are listening this far and you got any comments, be sure to leave them in the commentos below or chat on our Discord. I think there's a Warframe thread.
We do.
Yeah, okay.
Not a lot of people in it, but
it exists.
We do listen.
Sorry, had a slight yawn creep up on me. Okay. With that said, though, let's wrap it up now. Wrap it in. Pack it in. Let me begin. Usual outro stuff. As far as I know, we should be back on Monday for more Astrobot. Hopefully, everybody will be awake, but, we're the sleepy boys, so there's no guarantee of that. Tuesday we should be back with more Fail Betrayal stuff, and, Wednesday should be more Final Fantasy 14. Again, if I am not currently being obliterated by God, we'll see what's the haps. But yeah, and presumably, because nobody's told me we're not doing that, we'll be playing Rain again tomorrow on Sunday, and that episode will be uploaded sometime. Feel free to poke me about it if I forget to bring anything up, because I have to change my thumbnail numbers and, stuff. Even when I remind Lucky to upload it, I don't always post it for several days, because sometimes I get stupid. I catch a case of the durr. But that should be our schedule for the upcoming weeko. If you're watching this video on YouTube, click the like button, click the subscribe button, ring the bell or something. You can leave your comments in the comment section down below. We also have a Discord link. Our Discord is pretty cool and active. You can check it out. Click the linky. You can join our channel memberships for membership badges and emotes, and it's super cool. And like I said at the start, you can support us on Patreon, get access to episodes in audio format for as little as $1 a month, or about $10 a year. Our audio downloads also include, our actual plays like Rain and all of our other actual play backlog and lots of other funny stuff, and so on and so forth. And that reminds me, I gotta do poll stuff for the new month. But it checks out, it supports us, it's cool. Thanks all the haps for everything. And yeah, that's this episode. So like I mentioned before, the video should be on the 10th, which I believe is Thursday. So probably going to get a Friday drop for the event, so you'll be able to hear some of our first impressions, I think, on the story and stuff. Also, we may get some more illusion about what's actually going on in JP as well. Like I said, they launched 30 million downloads. They've launched a Lost Belt support campaign, but they're still not doing any actual big new stuff for you to do. So a week down the line, I may also have some news there. Gesundheit.
Thank you. Excuse me.
Well, I'm glad that you can. I don't think I could. I definitely couldn't record the podcast, so I don't think I could listen to the podcast and write. I usually have to listen to music to fucking vibe. But yeah, thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll see you guys next week for more Let's Deck Joe. And that's that.
That is that. They're all there is. There is no more.